Chapter 263, Drawing the Scythe, the Reaper Returns. What is a God-bestowed soul ring? Can it replace my 7th soul ring? How should I use it? Tang San was eager to know. Unexpectedly, Bo Saixi replied bluntly, just absorb it already. Why waste time with pointless questions? Bo Saixi threw the golden sphere in her hand onto the ground, and in the next second, she vanished from the spot. Ding, ding, ding. The golden sphere landed with a crisp, melodious sound, rolling to Tang San's feet. At this moment, Tang San felt utterly humiliated, as if he had been slapped hard across the face. This is too much. Tang San instinctively clenched his fists. Being publicly humiliated like this made it hard for him to maintain his dignity. Ever since arriving on this continent, he had been relentlessly humiliated by Yi Hao, and every person he loved and cared for had left him without exception. Now, as the bearer of the Sea God's 9 trials, his status was equal to, if not higher than Bo Saixi's. He should have been revered by all, yet reality had just dealt him a harsh blow. In the DOLOU continent, strength was everything. Just wait. When I become the Sea God, I will make every single person who ever looked down on me pay the price. Gritting his teeth, Tang San picked up the God-bestowed soul ring that Bo Saixi had thrown down. In the next second, he decisively hurled it into the sea. Who do you think you're looking down on? Even without a God-bestowed soul ring, I, Tang San, am still invincible. With that, Tang San immediately left the foot of Sea God Mountain to search for a suitable sea soul beast within the bounds of Sea God Island, to serve as his 7th soul ring. Inside the Sea God Temple, Bo Saixi sneered. I merely tested him slightly, yet this Tang San couldn't keep his composure. And that murderous intent hidden in his gaze, just as the rumors from the continent say, this man is no good. Since you look down on the God-bestowed soul ring, then don't use it. Bo Saixi snorted coldly. The God-bestowed soul ring that Tang San had just thrown into the sea suddenly reappeared in her hand the next moment. As everyone knew, Tang San's first martial soul was the blue-silver grass. The ocean was teeming with sea soul beasts, far more diverse and numerous than those on the DOLOU continent, and most of them were incredibly powerful. Tang San searched for a long time. 3 days later, he returned to the foot of Sea God Mountain, utterly exhausted. After searching for 3 whole days, he hadn't found a single evil soul beast. Worn out, Tang San collapsed onto the sandy beach, gazing at the azure sky above as the blinding sunlight shone on his face. He missed the DOLOU continent. Though the sea was full of soul beasts, none of them were suitable for Tang San. Either their types were incompatible, or their age was insufficient. Problems like these were endless. No, I must pull myself together. Dragging his weary body up, Tang San set out once more. Another 3 days passed. Splash! Tang San emerged from the sea, keeping his head above water. Strange, I remember throwing the God-bestowed soul ring here that day. How could it be gone? Refusing to give up, Tang San took a deep breath and dove back into the sea to continue searching for the God-bestowed soul ring. Unbeknownst to him, Bo Saixi had already retrieved it. Marking the boat to find the sword, utter foolishness. Bo Saixi slowly shook her head, thoroughly disappointed in Tang San. She truly couldn't understand what benefit the sea god saw in choosing someone like Tang San. With twin martial souls, but lacking in character and integrity, his conduct was a complete mess. This made Bo Saixi begin to suspect that the sea god had chosen Tang San out of spite, rather than through careful selection. Moreover, Tang San's twin martial souls were already ruined. His 2nd martial soul, the clear sky hammer, had prematurely absorbed soul rings, 2 yellow and 2 purple at that. This kind of reckless haste disgusted Bo Saixi. One must be down to earth, and soul power must progress step by step. Such methods were utterly disgraceful. Not only had he wasted the innate advantage of twin martial souls, but he had also ended up in this sorry state. Bo Saixi couldn't bear to watch any longer. Just as she was about to leave to chat with Tang Chen, Senior Bo Saixi, I beg you to set aside past grievances and grant me the God-bestowed soul ring. Tang San's voice echoed from the foot of the mountain. HMPH. Bo Saixi snorted disdainfully. Didn't you look down on the God-bestowed soul ring? Why do you need it now? Her scornful words carried down from the mountaintop, infuriating Tang San. However, when asking for a favor, one must show the proper attitude. Suppressing his anger, Tang San spoke in a low, restrained voice. Senior, I implore you to grant me the God-bestowed soul ring. Tang San will be eternally grateful. Hypocritical charity, Bo Saixi sneered under her breath. The opportunity for a God-bestowed soul ring comes only once. You've already used yours. Granting another would be against the rules. With that, Bo Saixi turned and left without giving Tang San any further chance to speak. Meanwhile, in the divine realms, the death god laughed heartily. Poseidon, what kind of successor did you pick? Your judgment is truly awful. His character is lacking, and with just a slight test from Bo Saixi, Tang San couldn't keep his cool. Doesn't he understand that impatience spoils great plans? At this moment, Poseidon, clad in his divine attire, stood opposite the death god with a darkened expression. After calming down and gradually learning of Tang San's actions, Poseidon was filled with regret. He could only curse his own blindness, having acted out of spite against the death god and ended up choosing a flawed heir. Can't you at least save me some face? Poseidon lowered his head in frustration. I regret it. If I had known Tang San's true nature, I would never have given him my inheritance. Had I known earlier, I would have given it to Yi Hao instead. But now, even the Asura god has taken a share. I've lost big this time. Death god, I admit defeat in this wager. Poseidon sighed deeply, his voice weak. Oh, come now, the death god grinned from ear to ear. The wager isn't over yet, why concede so soon? Poseidon was speechless. Do you really think Tang San stands a chance against Yi Hao? His temperament is poor, his morals lacking, and his conduct even worse. Not to mention, his second martial soul is completely ruined. I, Poseidon, spent 1,001 years to finally attain my godhood. How could I have been so short-sighted as to choose someone so unworthy? This is my mistake. Poseidon was filled with remorse, but the wager had already been made, and with the other 5 watching, admitting defeat now would be too humiliating. Bo Saixi is planning to have Tang San leave the island soon. Once he returns to the DOLOU continent, he's as good as dead. The death god reminded him. Look, why don't you modify the earlier trials of the sea god's inheritance? Lower the difficulty a bit and let Tang San leave the island sooner. That way, once he dies, the wager will naturally dissolve. What do you think? Hearing the death god's suggestion, even Poseidon was moved. Fine, I'll make the arrangements. With that, Poseidon immediately began adjusting the trials, striving to expedite Tang San's departure from the island. An heir like this was nothing but a disgrace to the sea god's name. The sea god couldn't afford this humiliation. At the foot of Sea God Mountain, Tang San waited for a while longer. Seeing that Bo Saixi no longer responded, Tang San realized he had been ignored yet again. A sense of defeat welled up within him. Tang San was unwilling to accept this. He had reincarnated into this world with the mysterious heaven cultivation techniques, mastered the art of hidden weapons, and possessed the mysterious heaven treasure record. By all accounts, he should have been the protagonist's template. Yet now, he had been trampled underfoot by a mere native like Yi Hao. Tang San had lost everything. Consumed by hatred, he glared venomously toward the summit of Sea God Mountain, his fists clenched so tightly they trembled. Without another word, Tang San turned and left, casting one last resentful glance at the peak. Meanwhile, behind Spirit Hall, within the Death God's shrine, Yi Hao slowly rose to his feet and walked toward the Death God's scythe. The Asura god's mark on his forehead gradually faded, replaced by the nascent form of a scythe. The Death God's heart hovered before him, resonating with both the scythe and the mark. The 3 had formed a perfect connection. The time has come, it's time to pull out the Death God's scythe. Yi Hao smiled faintly and stepped onto the circular platform, his gaze sweeping over the massive weapon before him. In that instant, 8 soul rings lit up beneath his feet, and the phantom of the Death Spider Emperor manifested behind him. 6th soul skill, Spider Emperor clone. 7th soul skill, Spider Emperor true body. Almost simultaneously, Yi Hao split into 2 identical figures, both activating the Spider Emperor true body. His legs vanished, replaced by a massive spherical abdomen from which 8 thick spider legs extended. His upper body was encased in violet-black armor, his face obscured by a chitinous mask. Both Yihaos gripped the death god's scythe firmly, their eyes filled with unwavering determination. Pull! With a roar, the two figures exerted their strength in unison, heaving the inverted scythe upward. Yihao planted his feet firmly, feeling the weapon gradually loosen as he strained against it. Outside, the normally tranquil spirit hall trembled faintly, an unprecedented occurrence that sent disciples and citizens into panic. It's begun. Xiao Hong emerged from the elder hall, his gaze fixed on the shrine as he approached. Grandfather, what's causing this earthquake? Qian Rengsu asked. Yihao has started pulling out the death god scythe, Qian DOLOU replied calmly. As the overseer of the Angel 9 trials, he knew this moment marked the true beginning of a god's ascension. Inside the shrine, the two Yihaos strained with reddened faces, their postures low and stable. The Titan giant ape left leg bone anchored them, while the blue-silver emperor right leg bone continuously replenished their soul power. The remaining 2 arm bones radiated dazzling light, amplifying their efforts. Yihao knew extracting the scythe required relentless momentum. Cracked. The death god's scythe began to shift. Intricate patterns shimmered along its obsidian shaft as dark energy swirled around Yihao. The weapon rose steadily, its curved blade gradually revealing itself. A surge of excitement filled Yihao as he redoubled his efforts. My soul power is draining too fast. This scythe is like a bottomless abyss. But there was no turning back now. Yihao smirked coldly. I don't care if you're a divine weapon or not. I'm pulling you out as a favor. If you don't cooperate, I'll just use the Asura god's sword and leave you to rot. As if understanding his words, the death god's heart detached from his hair and floated toward the scythe. Simultaneously, the scythe mark on his forehead burned intensely. The death god's heart, the scythe, and the mark, all three aligned perfectly. The heart slotted into a square depression at the weapon's center, completing it. Now, Yihao's hair whipped wildly as the phantom of the death god materialized behind him, cloaked in black, scythe in hand. The featureless void of its face gradually took shape, mirroring Yihao's own visage. Rise! With one final exertion, the death god's scythe tore free from its prison. It's over. Yihao exhaled in relief, the weight of the weapon now in his hands. As the scythe was fully drawn, the mark on his forehead flashed black before merging into his consciousness. Death God and Asura God's 7th trial, extract the Death God scythe, completed. Reward, 25% Death God and Asura God affinity. Total affinity, 75%. Finally, this step is done. Yihao relaxed, testing the scythe's weight. It felt as though it had been forged for him alone. Now, let's see what the 8th trial entails. With the 7th trial cleared, his path forward grew clearer. From what Xiao Hong had hinted, the next trial would involve confronting the Sea God. Death God and Asura God 8th trial, collect all soul rings and bones, elevate soul power to rank 99. Intercept the deep sea demonic whale king. Time limit, 10 years. Yihao nodded thoughtfully. Gathering soul rings and bones won't be difficult. Once I break through to rank 90, I can arrange the rest. As for the deep-sea demonic whale king, I'm not strong enough yet. To be safe, I should wait until I reach rank 97 or 98, then combine the scythe and Asura God's sword for absolute certainty. He never gambled without assurance. I'm still 4 ranks short. Conservatively, it'll take over 2 years to become a titled Duluo. Suddenly, space within the shrine trembled. Yihao! A deep voice echoed through the chamber. Yihao looked up to see the Death God seated upon a throne at the shrine's far end. Death God, why have you appeared? To congratulate you on claiming the scythe. My liberation draws nearer, the Death God laughed. Liberation? Yihao smiled faintly but said nothing. Enough digressions, I bring good news. What news? The Sea God has conceded. Conceded, but Tang San hasn't even become a god yet. Why would he surrender? This was unprecedented. Yihao was genuinely puzzled. Chapter 264, Tang San, where's my reward? The bet wasn't even over, yet the sea god had already surrendered. This left Yihao completely shocked. They had clearly agreed on the terms. How could he change his mind now? Poseidon acted on impulse in the heat of the moment. Now that he's come to his senses and seen Tang San's true character, he's filled with deep regret. The death god explained with evident amusement, his grin stretching wide. This was the ultimate victory without having to fight. What about the bet then? Yihao asked. Since the sea god had conceded, presumably the wager would be void. The bet remains valid. Poseidon plans to lower the difficulty of the sea god's trials to push Tang San off the island sooner. Once he leaves, you can intercept and kill him at Sea God Island's outskirts, the death god continued. Poseidon's poor judgment is his own fault. I warned him, but he stubbornly insisted. Now it's too late for regrets. Seems the sea god still cares about saving face, Yihao remarked with a knowing smile. A bet made before the 5 god kings couldn't be abandoned without consequences. An open admission of defeat now would be too humiliating. Instead, by lowering the trial difficulty and having Tang San die at Yihao's hands, it could be framed as a simple miscalculation, minimizing damage to the sea god's reputation. More like clinging to dignity while suffering. I'm absolutely delighted today, the death god cackled with glee. After the death god departed, Yihao hoisted the massive scythe onto his shoulder and strode confidently from the shrine. Now that he had claimed the death god's scythe, he only needed to reach rank 90. Once Zhu, Zhaer, and the Zai who completed their sacrifices, his soul bones would fall perfectly into place. As for the deep-sea demonic whale king, that would require some advanced preparation. You did it, you pulled out the scythe, congratulations! Xiao Hong beamed as Yihao returned with the imposing weapon resting on his shoulder. This critical step meant he was closer than ever to achieving godhood. The death god's return to the world was now imminent. I'm in excellent spirits today. Do we have any of that leftover rabbit meat from last time? Yihao asked. Just a little, came the reply. Wasting food was unacceptable. The finest ingredients required only the simplest preparation, just a campfire and basic grill, with the glistening rabbit legs sizzling with mouth-watering aroma. The older the rabbit, the more texture the meat has, Yihao commented as he devoured his portion with gusto, grease smearing across his lips. When do you plan to deal with Tang San? The death god may have declared victory, but leaving him alive remains a dangerous variable, Xiao Hong asked between bites. Don't worry, Yihao reassured her. Tang San is already struggling as it is. I'm particularly looking forward to his 5th trial. I wonder what illusion DOLOU will trap him in. My guess? It'll recreate the moment I killed Xiao Wu. That's one memory he can never erase. On Sea God Island, Tang San activated his 7th soul ring, as usual obtained from a 20,000-year-old sea grass he'd spent 3 days hunting at the island's remote edges. Grass was still grass, after all. Having missed the god-bestowed soul ring, he'd had no choice but to settle. Without it, his first trial might have dragged on indefinitely. As he stepped onto the 200th stair, the sea god's voice suddenly echoed in his mind, majestic yet oddly rushed. Sea god's first trial complete. Just like that, Tang San froze in place. That was it. Where was his reward? Wasn't I supposed to reach the 333rd step? I'm only at 200, he protested internally. Second trial, break through the ringed sea's blockade. Time limit, 6 months, the voice continued. Though completely baffled by the abrupt completion, Tang San tried to rationalize it. Every trial brings me closer to godhood. Maybe the sea god took pity on my efforts and granted me special consideration. With this flimsy self-assurance, he set off toward the 2nd trial location. In the sea god temple, Bo Saixi frowned in confusion. What is the sea god thinking? Tang San had cleared the trial instantly, despite being a full third short of the goal. She remembered her own arduous journey to complete the red level 8 trials and earn her position as high priestess. The disparity left a bitter taste in her mouth. Suddenly, a beam of azure light descended from the sea god's throne, piercing her forehead with divine revelation. After a long moment of absorption, understanding dawned. So that's the plan. The sea god wants Tang San gone, let Yihao kill him off the island to spare Sea God Island from further chaos. The sea god's wisdom is boundless, Bo Saixi bowed, in acceptance of the decree. Expediting Tang San's departure had become paramount. She couldn't allow history to repeat itself, not after the tragedy of Seahorse Duluo's death. Summon Zai Obai and the 6 guardian Duluo to me at once, she commanded. Responding immediately to her summons, the 6 guardians sensed the call simultaneously. Like streaks of light, they shot toward the temple without hesitation. Meanwhile, in the waters near Sea God Mountain, a massive 20-meter-long great white shark breached the surface. Zai Obai, the demon's soul great white shark king, both the sea god's mount and guardian of the island's surrounding waters. In human form, she cut a striking figure with long gray hair, piercing blue-gray eyes, and an alluring physique that exuded wild, untamed charm. The high priest summons me. Could it be about the heir's trials? She wondered before diving back beneath the waves, resuming her shark form as she swam purposefully toward the mountain. Time flowed like water, and before anyone realized it, a full year had slipped by. At Spirit Hall, Yihao sat in deep meditation, eyes closed, his aura steady and controlled. Currently at rank 88, he stood just 2 steps away from achieving titled Duluo status. Once there, his 8th trial would officially commence. Breakthrough rank 89, he noted internally as he felt the familiar shattering of internal barriers, his soul power surging forward in response. Just 1 more rank, 3 or 4 months at most, and the 8th trial begins, he calculated with quiet satisfaction. Just as this thought crossed his mind, a disciple hurried in with urgent news to deliver. Young master, urgent news from the Star Luo Empire. Crown Prince Dai Mubai is rushing toward the capital under cover of night. The capital, formerly known as Heaven Dew City, had been renamed after the establishment of the Spirit Empire. With the Heaven Dew Empire consigned to history, its capital had naturally ceased to exist. Dai Mubai is coming to our Spirit Empire? Yihao stroked his chin. How bold of him! It's been nearly 5 years since the last Continental Advanced Soul Master Elite Tournament. If I recall correctly, they made a 5-year pact to reunite at Shrek Academy, no matter where they were. Time flies, 5 years have passed in the blink of an eye. Yihao waved his hand, dismissing the disciple. Since I have nothing better to do, I might as well visit the capital. Dai Mubai is now the Star Luo Crown Prince. Capturing him would force the Star Luo Empire to surrender. Over the years, tensions between the Spirit Empire and Star Luo Empire had escalated, with frequent skirmishes bringing them to the brink of all-out war. The Star Luo Empire was no pushover, their military might was terrifying. Had it not been for Spirit Hall's covert interventions maintaining balance, Star Luo might have already conquered the Heaven Dew Empire and unified the continent. With his mind made up, Yihao vanished without a trace. Life in Spirit Hall had become monotonous. Over the past year, Yihao had focused entirely on preparing for his breakthrough to titled Duluo. It was time to step out. Progress couldn't be made by staying cooped up. Perhaps this excursion would yield unexpected gains. Capital City, Shrek Academy. The once prestigious institution now lay in ruins. The grounds were overgrown, the grand iron gates rusted and decayed, thick vines strangling the crumbling walls. The glory days were long gone. Shrek Academy had known brilliance, but after producing the likes of Yu Xiaogang and Tang San, everything had changed. At the Academy's entrance, 3 figures stood surveying the devastation. 5 years, the Academy has changed so much, sighed the leanest of the trio. Time spares no one, remarked the handsome blonde man. Even scattered to the winds, we kept our promise. Do you think Tang San will show? The stocky youth clenched his fists, his hatred for Tang San palpable. Tang San, the blonde man's eyes flashed coldly. If he dares come, I'll kill him myself. Oscar sighed. Let's just go in, don't even mention Tang San, I've washed my hands of him. The 3 were Oscar, Dai Mubai, and Ma Hongjun, reuniting after 5 years. The once legendary Shrek 7 monsters had fractured completely, Tai Long dead, Jiangzhu missing, Tang San vanished, and Xiao Wu captured by Spirit Hall, likely executed. With a screech, Dai Mubai pushed open the rusted gates. The corroded hinges gave way, sending the doors crashing down in a cloud of dust. Dead leaves swirled through the deserted courtyard. An eerie silence hung over the abandoned campus. Nobody here. Looks like it's been empty for years. After Dean Flender was killed by Tang San, even teacher Zhao Wuji left. He serves as a general in my Star Luo Empire now. Following Flender's death, the faculty had scattered. Zhao Wuji had sought refuge with Dai Mubai. The three exchanged helpless glances at the academy's tragic fate. Meanwhile, Yi Hao had already arrived at Shrek's back mountain. What a wasteland, he mused. With Flender gone, Shrek Academy is finished. Even the teachers abandoned it. Perfect will reclaim this place and establish a spirit academy here. The once scenic mountainside was now choked with weeds. The little wooden cabin stood dilapidated, its roof sagging. Creak. The cabin door swung open. You. Yi Hao and the cabin's occupant stared at each other in mutual recognition. Yi Hao, how dare you return to Shrek Academy? Liu Erlong's face twisted with rage. 5 years had aged her considerably, especially after Yi Hao destroyed her martial soul and reduced her to an ordinary woman. I wondered who was squatting here. Liu Erlong, why haven't you moved on? Shrek Academy is dead. Spare me your mockery, Liu Erlong spat. You destroyed everything. The Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon clan's thousands of lives, all slaughtered by your hand. I've never forgotten this hatred. Then come kill me, Yi Hao said indifferently. The Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon clan brought this upon themselves. You Xiaogang overstepped by trying to destroy Spirit Hall. I merely returned the favor. He had no interest in further conversation. Don't you dare slander Xiaogang. He's dead. Can't you let him rest in peace? Liu Erlong trembled with fury, powerless as a commoner against Yi Hao. Even at her peak, she'd been no match for him. Death doesn't erase infamy. I'll erect a monument documenting Yu Xiaogang's crimes, ensuring history remembers him as the fool he was, Yi Hao said coldly. Liu Erlong nearly choked on her rage, her entire body shaking. Why are you really here? She demanded through gritted teeth. They've arrived. Ignoring her, Yi Hao's gaze shifted toward 3 approaching figures, Dai Mubai, Oscar, and Ma Hongjun walking shoulder to shoulder through the desolate campus. Suddenly, the trio froze mid-step. Their eyes widened in shock before they broke into a sprint, martial souls erupting as they launched attacks, White Tiger's light wave and Phoenix Fireline streaking toward Yi Hao. 5 years, and you've only gotten weaker. Yi Hao shook his head, casually deflecting both assaults with a single raised hand. What? The 3 stared in disbelief. 3 Soul Kings. Congratulations, you've reached the level I was at 5 years ago. Yi Hao studied them with amusement. Against an 89th ranked soul duo like himself, their 2 yellow, 2 purple, and 1 black soul rings were pitiful. Without immortal herbs, this was their limit. Yi Hao, did you destroy the 7 treasure glazed tile school? Oscar's eyes burned red. When he'd returned, the school lay in ruins, Ning Rongrong gone without a trace. Indeed, Yi Hao confirmed without hesitation. His real prize stood before him. The Star Luo Crown Prince was far more valuable. Chapter 265, A Son-in-Law for You. Today's capture of the Crown Prince of the Star Luo Empire would play a pivotal role in the Duluo Empire's expansion and its eventual conquest of the Star Luo Empire. Rongrong, what have you done to Rongrong? Oscar was frantic. Ever since learning of the 7 treasure glazed tile clan's destruction, he had been searching the continent for any trace of Ning Rongrong. He believed that, given the strength of the sword Duluo and bone Duluo, even if the Spirit Hall had the power to destroy the 7 treasure glazed tile clan, Rongrong would have been unharmed. But reality often defies expectations. Ning Rongrong is detained in the Spirit Hall, Oscar. You're talented. If you abandon the darkness and join the light, leaving the filthy Shrek Academy behind, I can reunite you with Rongrong and ensure you'll stay together forever. Yi Hao's offer was tempting. To Oscar, who had always loved Ning Rongrong, it sounded too good to be true. What you're saying? Before Oscar could finish, Dai Mubai stomped hard on his foot. The sharp pain snapped Oscar back to reality. Damn it, I almost fell for Yi Hao's trap. Oscar shook his head, regaining some clarity. It really was you who kidnapped Rongrong. What did you do to her? Oscar shouted in fury. He couldn't bear to imagine what Rongrong must have endured in Yihao's hands. Every time the thought crossed his mind, Oscar clawed at his scalp as if struck by lightning. Yihao was speechless. Enough nonsense. Ma Hongzhen was the first to provoke. His fire phoenix soul emerged, and his fifth soul ring gleamed instantly. Fifth soul skill, Phoenix Meteor Shower. Ma Hongzhen soared into the sky, fiery wings spread wide. With a powerful flap, countless flaming meteors rained down, filling the sky until the very air twisted under the heat. Fourth soul skill, White Tiger Meteor Shower. Dai Mubai didn't hold back either, unleashing countless punches. War between the Spirit Empire and the Star Luo Empire was inevitable. As the crown prince of Star Luo, Dai Mubai understood the Spirit Empire's ambitions all too well. Facing these two powerful soul skills head-on, Yihao remained nonchalant. He shook his head slightly and muttered, "Ignorance breeds audacity. Mere child's play, utterly laughable." With a mere raise of his right hand, a violet barrier materialized before him. Every single one of the White Tiger and Phoenix meteors was completely blocked. The combined assault of two Soul Kings was effortlessly nullified by Yihao. What? How is this possible? After 5 years apart, how has Yihao grown this terrifyingly strong? The trio gaped in stunned silence. How? Liu Erlong was equally shocked. She had once witnessed Yihao's strength firsthand. Years ago, even with Flender by her side, they had been no match for him. Yihao, how could this be? Liu Erlong clenched her fists in frustration. If only her soul hadn't been crippled by him. Perhaps she could have avenged Flender and used Xiaogang with her own hands. The destruction of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon clan remained an unhealed wound she could never forget. Is this all you've got? Yihao smirked, glancing around. The feng shui here looks decent, perfect for some renovations. He eyed Liu Erlong. You've been guarding this place for years, must have been exhausting. How about I buy this land from you? I'm thinking of developing it into the Spirit Empire Academy. What do you say? Don't even think about it. Liu Erlong seethed. The Spirit Hall had killed Yu Xiaogang, and now they wanted to lay hands on Shrek Academy. The academy was Flender's life's work. Even in his absence, Liu Erlong had sworn to defend it to the death, if only to honor his memory. Relax, I'll pay you a generous sum to live out your remaining years in peace. Yihao turned away from Liu Erlong, pointing casually at a spot nearby. I've decided, once the Spirit Empire Academy is built, I'll erect a memorial for Yu Xiaogang. The inscription will read, Trash Master, Ruiner of Students. There are no useless martial souls, only useless soul masters. The Duluo continent's top scum, top delusional narcissist, top fraud of a teacher, proud mentor of the disgraceful Tang, saying it's an honor to raise such a despicable disciple. As he rambled on, Liu Erlong's eyes blazed with fury, her entire body trembling with rage. Shut up already. She roared, flames of anger erupting around her. Oh, I'm not done. This memorial will stand at the Academy's entrance, a cautionary tale for future students. Let his infamy endure for millennia, staining history forever. Yihao finished with a grin. Liu Erlong let out a primal scream, smoke practically rising from her head before she spat blood and collapsed unconscious. Pathetic resilience. Yu Xiaogang, of all people, a worthless fraud who loved to flaunt imaginary superiority, a textbook armchair strategist. Liu Erlong, I genuinely pity you. Yihao sighed, shaking his head. Then he turned back to face Dai Mubai and the others. Now it's your turn. Yihao's voice seemed to carry a hypnotic weight. The trio instinctively retreated, memories of their brutal defeat at Yihao's hands during the Continental Advanced Soul Master Elite Tournament flooding back, a lifelong trauma they could never shake. Damn it, we have no way out. Dai Mubai gritted his teeth. This trip from Star Luo was supposed to be foolproof, yet here they were, cornered. Boss Dai, what do we do now? Ma Hongzhen's heart pounded, his face flushed as he looked to Dai Mubai. Escape is impossible. This is the Spirit Empire's capital. With Yihao here, how could we possibly outrun him? Oscar sighed. Yi Hao, I'll go with you, just let boss Dai and Fatty go. Little ow. Dai Mubai and Ma Hongjun were stunned. You're in no position to negotiate. Yi Hao flicked his fingers, giving Oscar a dismissive glance. Given that you'll soon be my prisoners, what leverage do you even have? Their fate was sealed. Fight him. Yi Hao, we're taking you down with us. Bristling with desperation, the three prepared for a last stand. Fools. Yi Hao exhaled, then 8 soul rings rose beneath his feet. Yellow, purple, purple, black, black, red, red, red. The 8 soul rings pulsed with terrifying energy, freezing Dai Mubai's group mid-charge. This. 300,000-year soul rings. Soul Dulua, impossible. They stared, unable to believe that Yi Hao, a soul king just 5 years ago, was now a soul Duluo. In just 5 years. They had trained relentlessly, confident in their talent. But compared to Yi Hao, a firefly daring to rival the moon. The sheer ignorance. Split up and run. They exchanged glances and bolted in separate directions, hoping to scatter Yi Hao's focus. Run. Yi Hao chuckled coldly. Do you really think you can? With that, he summoned the death god's heart. Dai Mubai, Ma Hongjun, and Oscar felt an inescapable vortex dragging them backward. Just like that, Yi Hao retracted the death god's heart, sealing them inside. With these bargaining chips, the Star Luo Empire will have no choice but to surrender. Suddenly, Liu Erlong, who had passed out earlier, began to stir. What happened? She staggered to her feet, her mind foggy. Yi Hao. Where are Dai Mubai and the others? What did you do to them? Liu Erlong demanded anxiously. Dead. Yi Hao's reply was flat, his gaze indifferent. Dead. Liu Erlong's face paled, her fists clenching in grief. Yi Hao, aren't you afraid of retaliation from Star Luo? Dai Mubai is their crown prince. Do you truly want to provoke war? Unfazed, Yi Hao glanced at her dismissively. Old Lady Liu, your meddling is unwelcome. You're just a cripple now, enjoy your retirement. Wait, Liu Erlong suddenly cried. Xiao Wu, my daughter Xiao Wu, is she still in your custody? Xiao Wu, you mean that rabbit? Yi Hao patted his stomach. Liu Erlong stiffened. You. Trembling, she stared at him as if facing a demon from hell. Gotta say, 100,000-year soft bone rabbit meat is delicious. Maybe I'll bring you some next time. At those words, Liu Erlong collapsed, hollow-eyed, kneeling on the ground as memories of Xiao Wu flashed before her. Then snap, the illusion shattered. You'll pay for this. Xiao Wu was my daughter, how could you? Liu Erlong's chest heaved, her fury beyond words. Are you insane? Yi Hao rolled his eyes. You're human, yet you adopted a beast as your daughter, 100,000-year soul beast, no less. People might think it's some heartwarming mother-daughter tale, but the truth is, do you have some twisted fetish, Liu Erlong? Silence. From beginning to end, she had suppressed her rage. The Spirit Empire, mark my words, divine retribution will come for you. Boring. Yi Hao ignored her and walked away. If gods truly existed, why would the world be this rotten? Good riddance. 3 days later. Inside the Spirit Hall. Yi Hao had imprisoned Dai Mubai in the dungeon, guarded by 2 soul sages and 1 soul Duluo. The crown prince of Star Luo was too valuable a bargaining chip. As for Ma Hongjun, he was tossed into the same cell, left to his fate. Meanwhile, on the way to check on Ning Fengzhai's group, Yi Hao strode ahead with Oscar trailing behind. Yi Hao, you didn't do anything to Rongrong, did you? Oscar fretted, terrified of what might have happened to her. Yi Hao sighed. Oscar, you have potential. The fall of Shrek Academy speaks for itself. Yu Xiaogang had brought his fate upon himself. Flender had been killed by Tang San. The once united Shrek Academy had splintered beyond recognition. What's your point? Oscar halted, puzzled. Nothing much. Yi Hao shrugged. Just fulfilling my promise to reunite you with Rongrong. You're a food-type soul master, hardly a threat. Relax, once we're there, you'll understand. Soon, they arrived at the holding area, where Ning Fengzhai and the others were kept. Rongrong. Oh, Oscar. Their reunion was a shock. Ning Rongrong covered her mouth, unable to believe she'd see him again. Ahem. Yihao cleared his throat, interrupting the moment. You. Ning Fengjai, Sword Duluo Chenzin, and Bone Duluo instantly shielded Rongrong. Though they'd been kept comfortable all these years, they remained wary, convinced the Soul Hall's kindness hid darker motives. Time had aged them visibly, their wrinkles deeper than before. Me. Yihao exhaled. Why do you all look like mice spotting a cat? Am I that terrifying? Why are you here, Yihao? Ning Fengjai eyed him cautiously, pulling Rongrong closer. Simple, seeing how lonely you four are, I thought I'd deliver you a son-in-law. He gestured at Oscar. Son-in-law? Ning Fengjai scowled. I don't need one. His rejection hit Oscar like a blow. Don't need, tough luck. The 7 treasure glazed tile clan is gone, no more formalities. Stop acting like you're still some grand patriarch. With that, Yihao left Oscar behind and walked off without another word. Silence. Only after Yihao vanished did Ning Fengjai relax. Oscar, how did Yihao capture you? He questioned. After the clan's fall, when Ning Fengjai's family was taken, contact with Oscar had been severed. Now, his reappearance alongside Yihao raised suspicion. Had Oscar betrayed them? A few days ago was our 5-year reunion, promised since the tournament, but then... Chapter 266, Zhu Zhuqing enters the game. And so, Boss Dai Fatty and I were all captured by Yihao. Oscar didn't hesitate to recount the entire ordeal of how they were captured. What? 300,000-year soul rings? Sword Duluo Chenzin's face paled in shock. In just a few years, Yihao's strength had grown to such a terrifying level. That boy is no ordinary fish in a pond. Ning Fengjai sighed, his edges worn down after years of imprisonment. With the 7 treasure glazed tile clan destroyed, his heart had died long ago. Surviving this catastrophe and being confined was already a mercy compared to the total annihilation of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon clan. Fengjai, with the Crown Prince of Star Luo captured, the Spirit Empire will inevitably declare war on Star Luo next. It seems the day the Spirit Empire unifies the continent is not far off. Bone Duluo Gu Rong guessed correctly. The Spirit Empire was at its peak, and Yihao's actions were clearing the path for its dominance. Indeed. Ning Fengjai lingered in melancholy before finally shuffling back into the house, his figure desolate. After his departure, Ning Rongrong sighed. Father has been like this ever since the clan was destroyed. As the clan leader, he should have died with his people. Instead, he lived on, drowning in guilt and torment every day. Ning Fengjai had considered suicide, but the Spirit Hall wouldn't allow it. Worse, their every move was monitored. Their words held no privacy. They were destined to rot here until death. Rongrong, I'm just so happy you're alive. After years of searching, Oscar had finally found her, alive and unharmed. Though her soul was crippled, she was still breathing. To Oscar, who valued her more than life itself, nothing else mattered. Meanwhile, in the Spirit Hall's dungeons, dark, damp, and filthy, the floor was littered with scattered straw. Ma Hongzhen was thrown roughly into one of the cells, the stench making him pinch his nose while cursing under his breath. Fatty, save your energy. Dai Mubai sat calmly in the cell across from him. The doors were forged from special steel, strong enough to imprison even formidable soul masters. Boss Dai Yihao is too much, throwing us in this hellhole while Oscar gets to reunite with Ning Rongrong? Unfair. And who should I complain to? Dai Mubai sighed. Quit whining. The fact that Yihao captured us instead of killing us outright is already a mercy. The Spirit Empire plans to use me as leverage against Star Luo. Over the years, border conflicts have been frequent. As Crown Prince, I've dealt with many of them. His status meant that if Star Luo's soldiers learned their Crown Prince had been captured, morale would plummet. We can't just sit here. Boss Dai, what if? Ma Hongzhen shivered, the grime making his skin crawl. Ahem. Dai Mubai coughed pointedly. 2 soul sages and a soul Duluo were stationed nearby as guards. Relax, Star Luo will send help. Using soul power to transmit his voice, Dai Mubai reassured him. Ma Hongjin finally settled down. Before Dai Mubai's trip to the Spirit Empire, Star Luo's royal family had secretly arranged for spies to follow him. News of his capture had already reached the palace. Half a month later, nightfall draped the spirit hall in darkness. Under the cover of night, shadowy figures slipped in silently. Leading them was a slender woman in black, her veil blending into the night. Behind her, a dozen cloaked operatives moved like ghosts. "Your Highness, we've infiltrated the spirit hall," one whispered. The woman nodded. "Stay quiet, don't alert anyone." No sooner had she spoken than arrows rained from above. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Half her team fell instantly, bodies riddled with bolts. "Retreat," she gasped. "Retreat to where?" Yihao's voice cut through the darkness. Rows of Spirit Hall disciples emerged, wielding upgraded crossbow godkillers. The remaining intruders were surrounded, weapons trained on them. Hovering midair, Yihao smirked down at the Star Luo operatives. "You there? Yes, you." His gaze locked onto the veiled woman. Something about her voice felt familiar. "Have we met before?" The team was now trapped, no escape in sight. Suddenly, a short but burly man lunged, his 8 soul rings flaring, 2 yellow, 2 purple, 4 black. A soul duo. Yihao Dai. The man's fists glowed, a colossal gray bear materializing behind him. Vigorous Vajra bear martial soul, Yihao raised an eyebrow. "So it's you, Zhao Wuji. After Shrek Academy disbanded, you became Star Luo's lapdog." Casually, he raised a hand to block the strike. "Correct." Zhao Wuji recoiled, face twisting in pain. In just a few years, Yihao had surpassed him. "I'll avenge Flender and the Master," Zhao Wuji roared, tearing off his disguise. "You've got the wrong guy." Yihao rolled his eyes. Yu Xiaogeng was killed by Flender, and Flender was killed by Tang San. If you want revenge, go find Tang San. Why me? "Don't play dumb," Zhao Wuji spat. "You destroyed the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon clan. If not for you, the Master and Flender would still be alive. You're the root of it all." His logic wasn't entirely wrong, but Yihao couldn't care less. Done talking, Yihao yawned. Before Zhao Wuji could retort. Slash. The death god's scythe flashed. Thud. Zhao Wuji's head hit the ground before his body did. Villains die from monologuing. Didn't anyone teach you that? Yihao turned to the remaining intruders. "Capture them, alive." At his command, the Spirit Hall disciples attacked. Chaos erupted, sparks flying, clashing steel, until Yihao spotted something. Another spirit cat martial soul. His eyes narrowed. The leading woman's movements were unmistakable. Her. In a blur, he weaved through the fray, effortlessly subduing the team. When he reached the woman, she barely had time to react before he seized her. Ah. Yihao tilted her chin up, studying her widened eyes. "Zhu Zhuking, fancy meeting you like this." He hauled her away, barking orders. "Lock the rest up for interrogation." Spirit Hall, inner chambers. "Zhu Zhuking, long time no see." Yihao dumped her unceremoniously on the floor. 5 years and you've only grown stronger. Even Zhao Wuji was no match. She removed her veil, revealing a face matured beyond its youthful delicacy. Her lithe frame, hugged by the black stealth suit, was undeniably alluring. "How did you find us?" Their mission had been airtight, no leaks. Unless Star Luo had a traitor. "This is the Spirit Hall. Did you think you could waltz in?" Yihao chuckled. "The moment I captured Dai Mubai, I sensed spies nearby. The crown prince of Star Luo, bold enough to waltz into the Spirit Empire alone, amusing. So you set a trap. And you walked right in, half a month of waiting and the prize is you." He eyed her with interest. "They called you Crown Princess. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you and Dai Mubai had an engagement." Zhu Zhuking nodded stiffly. "We did, but why capture him? What's your goal?" Yihao didn't hesitate. Leverage. If Star Luo surrenders, Dai Mubai lives, if not. He mimed a blade across his neck. "You'd start a war, countless innocents will suffer." "Relax. Once I break through level 100, the war will end swiftly. My word on that." Level 100. His confidence was staggering. The way he'd killed Zhao Wuji with a flick of his wrist, his power was beyond comprehension. Enough chit-chat. Zhu Zhuking, trespassing into the spirit hall is a capital offense. His tone turned icy. You. She stepped back wary. From the start, Star Luo had miscalculated. This reckless rescue plan was the royal family's idea. They'd sent her, relying on the nether spirit cat's nocturnal prowess. With Zhao Wuji's support, they'd assumed success. But the spirit hall wasn't just any enemy. Even without Yi Hao's intervention, their aura would have alerted the hall's titled Duluos. So, what now? Given our past as classmates, I'd prefer leniency, but for the spirit hall's sake, I can't be merciful. His gaze left no room for negotiation. Another half-month later. The same scenario repeated. Under Night's cloak, another team infiltrated, this time led by a woman even more curvaceous than Zhu Zhuking. And just like before, they were ambushed. Another nether spirit cat, don't tell me. Yi Hao dragged the woman back, yanking off her mask. Zhu Jian. Star Luo's crown princess, Zhu Zhuking's elder sister. Her voluptuous figure was impossible to miss. Are they serious, sending sisters in batches? He summoned Zhu Zhuking. When she saw her sister, even she was speechless. Zhu Zhuking, is Star Luo's royal family allergic to learning, or do they just love gifting me prisoners? Zhu Zhuking had no answer. The nether spirit cat martial soul excelled in stealth, but this was beyond foolish. Fine, I'll take it as a goodwill present. With a shrug, Yi Hao pulled both sisters into his arms. Chapter 267, Spider's Sacrifice, Yi Hao becomes a title Duluo. Time seemed to freeze at this moment. With Zhu Zhuking in his left arm and Zhu Jian in his right, Yi Hao instantly experienced the joy of being an emperor. To wield power while awake and rest on a beauty's lap while drunk, this was the pinnacle of life. His large hands wrapped around their slender waists, and his gaze couldn't help but linger on their devilish figures. Royal-grade delicacies, truly worthy of the name. The room fell into dead silence. That. Soon, a piercing scream shattered the night's tranquility. Zhu Zhuking and Zhu Jian were utterly terrified, shrinking into the corner like frightened kittens. Yi Hao's sudden action had startled them beyond words. How hot! Yi Hao laughed heartily, looking at the Zhu sisters with amusement. A girl's courage is indeed small, this saying holds true. Yi Hao turned to Zhu Jian. Did you receive a letter from Zhu Zhuking? Zhu Jian was taken aback but nodded. We did receive a secret message from her. Me, Zhu Zhuking was stunned. She had been imprisoned in the spirit hall the entire time. How could she have sent any letters? I used a little trick, hoping to catch a big fish. Instead, I caught a pair of sisters. Yi Hao's eyes burned with intensity, as if he might devour them at any moment. Yi Hao's you. Zhu Zhuking stammered, unable to comprehend that Yi Hao could be like this. A beast in human form. Guards, take these sisters away. No one is allowed near them without my orders. Under the sisters' despairing gazes, they were forcibly dragged away. Did they really think I was interested in them? Just a little scare, their nerves are too fragile. Yi Hao smirked. 89th rank soul power, just one more level. I must break through to title Duluo as soon as possible and complete the 8th trial. Steadying his mind, Yi Hao sat cross-legged, no longer dwelling on the earlier scene. He focused entirely on cultivation. Meanwhile, on Sea God Island, Tang San was tightly bound to a deep silver pillar, his limbs and neck shackled. Towering waves crashed against him, each impact sending waves of pain through his body. This was his 3rd trial, Angry Waves Abyss. 12 hours a day enduring the ocean's fury, lasting an entire year. Though the sea god had reduced the difficulty of the trials, he hadn't gone easy on this one. Instead, the challenge had been intensified. Each wave carried the force of a soul master's casual strike. Over this year, Tang San had suffered immensely, battered beyond recognition. His hair was disheveled, blood trickling from his lips as he gritted his teeth in endurance. That. Tang San screamed in agony, venting his pent-up frustration. 3rd trial completed. The sea god's voice echoed briefly in Tang San's mind before fading. Instantly, the chains binding him vanished. Exhausted, Tang San collapsed, gasping for air. The relief of survival washed over him. Being alive truly is wonderful. Finally, the third trial is done, one step closer to my revenge. Now, what's the fourth trial? Eagerly, Tang San checked the next challenge, but its contents made him curse aloud. See God's fourth trial. Shark versus Whale War. Assist the demon soul Great White Shark Tribe in slaying the evil spirit Orca King. Tang San froze. Evil spirit Orca King. Wait, didn't Zio Bai say the evil spirit Orca King was already gone, taken by someone? That person. Yi Hao. The name made Tang San gnash his teeth in fury. His face twisted into a beast-like snarl. That's right, that evil tiger I met on the way to the spirit hall must have been the evil spirit Orca King. Tang San clenched his fists, trembling with rage. Yi Hao, my 100,000-year soul ring, my 100,000-year soul bone, I hate you, I hate you. He howled at the sky in frustration. With all my talent, I end up with nothing. Why does Yi Hao have all the luck while I suffer? Not a single soul bone, not even my only external spirit bone remains. Heaven is unfair, unfair. Yi Hao, I will kill you. His screams carried far, even reaching Poseidon's ears. Bo Saixi frowned, her patience with Tang San long exhausted. Always the same complaints. No effort, no action, just whining while others work hard to ascend. Instead of reflecting on himself, he blames others. How was Tang San even born? She sighed deeply. Hard work brings rewards. Only those without ability and a habit of complaining would blame fate like this. Bo Saixi chose to ignore him. Over the past year, Tang San had frequently erupted like this, sometimes howling in the middle of the night. Sea God Island had received countless complaints, all about Tang San, who screams at night when people need to work the next day. Unbelievable. Bo Saixi rolled her eyes, sealing off the sea god temple to block out the noise. Meanwhile, Tang San staggered out of the ocean like a zombie, drenched and broken. My 100,000-year soul ring, my 100,000-year soul bone, Yi Hao, you owe me, you owe me. He muttered deliriously, his eyes vacant, already half mad. Since the evil spirit Orca King has been claimed by another, the fourth trial is considered complete. The sea god's indifferent voice echoed in Tang San's mind. No. Tang San wailed again, filled with resentment. His chance at 100,000-year soul ring and soul bone had vanished before his eyes. Stealing my opportunities is no different from murder. Yi Hao, just you wait. His eyes burned red, the slaughter domain flaring uncontrollably. A faint red glow flickered between his brows. He was on the verge of madness. See God's fifth trial. Challenge the 6 sacred pillar guardians. Starting from the first guardian, defeat all 6 within 36 hours to pass. Tang San. This was an impossible task. As a soul sage, how could he defeat Title Duo? Moreover, he had to beat all 6 within 3 days. Defeated, Tang San slumped to the ground, his spirit shattered. 3 months later. I've finally broken through to the 90th rank. In the spirit hall, Yi Hao was overjoyed. After 3 months of relentless effort, he had finally reached the 90th rank, officially becoming a Title Duo. All that remained was his crucial 9th soul ring. For this, Yi Hao already had a plan. The day has finally come. Zhu Zhu sighed. Ever since being captured by Yi Hao, he had been waiting for this moment. Time flies. To think Yi Hao would become a Title Duo. Looking back at his days in Sunset Forest, the memories felt nostalgic. Master, when shall we begin? Zhu Zhu asked. Now call Zaihu and Jair as well, Yi Hao instructed. Soon the 3 stood before him, their expressions calm. They knew what was coming. Sacrifice. Zhu Zhu would become Yi Hao's 9th soul ring for the Death Spider Emperor. Jair would be the first soul ring for the soul-devouring Spider Emperor. And Zaihu would be the second. Any last words? Yi Hao looked at the 3. Sacrifice meant giving up their lives. None, Jair replied firmly. Let's do it. Death isn't permanent, we'll be revived. A good deal, Zaihu said optimistically. We're ready, Zhu Zhu answered. With that, Yi Hao said no more. The sacrifice began. Yi Hao took the lead, his 8 soul rings glowing as the Death Spider Emperor materialized behind him. Among them, 300,000-year soul rings shone brilliantly. Begin. Zhu Zhu's eyes burned with determination. A deafening roar erupted as overwhelming energy burst from his body. A blinding red light shot from his forehead, dyeing the entire hall crimson. Time itself seemed to freeze. Zhu Zhu, in his Death Spider Emperor form, began the sacrifice. His massive body contrasted starkly with the spectral Death Spider Emperor behind Yihao. 3 mighty 100,000-year soul beasts sacrificing themselves, all while Yihao stood at the 90th rank. No one could predict the terrifying heights he would reach. 300,000-year soul beasts at once, unprecedented in history. It's starting. In the Elder Hall, Qian DOLOU gazed at the crimson pillar of light erupting from the sacrifice site. At the same time, deep in the Rakshasa secret realm, Bibaidong opened her eyes. The day has come. Hayar is about to become a title duo. I must work harder too. The Death Spider Emperor's body glowed like red agate. Flames, crimson flames, engulfed Zhu Zhu's form, representing his 100,000-year cultivation. Boundless energy surged forth. Yihao stood motionless under the red light, silently accepting the sacrifice. I will revive you. A single tear rolled down Yihao's cheek. At that moment, the death god's heart suddenly flew out, enveloping Zhu Zhu's soul before returning to Yihao's side. As Zhu Zhu's body grew increasingly transparent, the sacrifice reached its climax. Then the Death Spider Emperor vanished, replaced by a glowing red soul bone. 100,000-year Death Spider Emperor left arm bone. The soul bone hovered midair, pulsing with energy. Guided by Yihao's soul power, it flew toward him, merging seamlessly with his left arm, no resistance, perfect compatibility. Simultaneously, a vivid 100,000-year soul ring materialized beneath Yihao's feet, his 9th soul ring. His soul power surged to rank 93. With the left arm bone fused, Yihao now only lacked 3 more bones to complete his full set. Title duo, I've finally become a title duo. Yihao exhaled deeply. The journey had been arduous. At his feet, the soul rings gleamed. Yellow, purple, purple, black, black, red, 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 red. 9 soul rings, perfectly aligned. With the final ring in place, Yihao's soul power stabilized at rank 93. Thanks to Zhu Zhu's sacrifice, Yihao had achieved his goal. Paired with the Death Scythe and the Asura Demon Sword, Yihao was now unrivaled in the Duo continent, the strongest beneath the gods. His 9th soul skills. Undying Body. Death's Descent. Undying Body was an absolute divine skill. No matter how severe the damage, as long as Yihao activated this skill in advance, he would become immortal. Even if his body were torn apart, the 9th soul skill could restore him. Yihao would be invincible. Death's Descent transformed Yihao into the Death Spider Emperor's true form. Countless demonic spiders would rain from the sky, unleashing an unprecedented assault until the enemy was annihilated. With everything settled, Yihao relaxed. As a title duo, he felt reborn. Holding the heart of death, he gazed at Zhu Zhu's soul within. Once Yihao ascended to godhood, he would have the power to revive him. Then, Zhu Zhu could shed his soul beast form and become truly human. My turn. Zhe stepped forward calmly. Yihao nodded, ready. I've been ready for years. The human world is fascinating. I've seen much these past years. Now, I want to experience sacrifice firsthand. Yihao laughed, admiring Zhe's optimism. Without another word, Zhe transformed into her soul, devouring Spider Emperor form, radiating crimson light. Another scarlet pillar shot into the sky. Yihao took a deep breath, summoning his 2nd martial soul, the soul-devouring Spider Emperor. A dark green spider web pattern appeared on his forehead as emerald light spread across his body. 3 pairs of crystalline green spider legs sprouted from his back, while his arms elongated into spear-like appendages. His lower body was encased in a shimmering green aura. Soul-devouring Spider Emperor, possession. With no soul rings yet, Zhe would become Yihao's first 100,000-year soul ring for this martial soul. Having done this before, Yihao proceeded smoothly, guiding Zhe's sacrifice. Soon, his second martial soul's first 100,000-year soul ring would be his. The thought almost made Yihao laugh, remembering how Tang San had rushed to strengthen himself, especially when he heard Tang San's second martial soul, the clear sky hammer, had only 100-year first soul ring. Yihao couldn't help but shake his head. That must be Grandmaster's theory at work. According to his 10 core martial soul theories, the first soul ring's limit was 100 years. Flawless logic. Misleading disciples, utterly misleading. Yihao chuckled bitterly. If Tang San could see this scene, he'd be green with envy, maybe even lose his mind. But alas, Yihao wouldn't witness Tang San's meltdown. Having a teacher like Yu Xiaogang was Tang San's tragedy. A twin martial soul genius, wasted. What a pity. Chapter 268. The Sea Illusion Duluo's Illusion, Tang San's never-ending nightmare begins. Once again, the death god's heart flew out, protecting Zhair's soul. As Zhair offered her sacrifice, the original soul-devouring spider emperor vanished. In its place, a vivid red soul ring appeared beneath Yihao's feet, along with a 100,000-year soul bone. 100,000-year soul, devouring spider emperor right arm bone. Yihao's eyes lit up. Both Zhaju and Zhair had provided him with soul bones. After their sacrifice, his connection with them grew even deeper. In other words, even without summoning Zhaju or Zhair, Yihao could still execute their martial soul fusion skill. The 100,000-year soul devouring spider emperor right arm bone fused seamlessly with Yihao's right arm. The process was smooth, completing in mere moments. My soul power has reached rank 95. It's truly hard to believe. What takes others decades, or even a lifetime of arduous cultivation, I've achieved so effortlessly. Perhaps this is the unparalleled advantage of having twin martial souls. Yihao was already satisfied. Spider's soul ring had granted him 2 powerful soul skills. Spider summoning. Eternal demise. Spider summoning allowed him to summon half-meter-long dark green venomous spiders, which could scout the surroundings or launch attacks. As for eternal demise, this skill was extraordinary. It was the strongest single-target offensive soul skill. No defense could withstand it, not even invincible golden body. Once struck by eternal demise, the target was guaranteed to die. Their wounds would never heal, and they would perish once their soul power was exhausted. When combined with the soul-devouring spider emperor right arm bone, the effect was absolutely lethal, ensuring instant death, so swift that the target wouldn't even feel it. Master Zai Hu has arrived, Zai Hu announced. Yihao turned to Zai Hu and nodded solemnly. Just like before, Zai Hu transformed into a 30-meter-long evil spirit orca king, its body radiating crimson light as a blood-red pillar shot into the sky. Seeing this, Yihao immediately summoned the death god's heart, drawing Zai Hu's soul into it. With that, everything was complete. Yihao gazed at the 3 slumbering souls within the death god's heart. The sacrifice had been immense for them. Their souls had now fallen into deep sleep. But this one sacrifice would grant them an eternal chance to be reborn as humans. For them, this was more than a fair trade. I will bring you back to life, this I swear. Yihao declared firmly, making his vow. The 3 soul beasts had sacrificed too much for him. As the evil spirit orca king completed its sacrifice, its body dissolved into countless red particles, merging into Yihao's body. The red light coalesced into a blood-red 100,000-year soul ring, calmly orbiting Yihao. The process was smooth, without any major obstacles. The soul bone is here. I wonder if it's a torso bone or... Yihao's eyes gleamed as he spotted the glowing red soul bone before him. 100,000-year evil spirit orca, king head bone. Guided by his soul power, the soul bone fused perfectly with Yihao. A cool sensation spread through his head, clearing his mind. Yet, a flash of killing intent flickered in his eyes. Truly befitting of Zai, who the evil spirit orca king's innate bloodlust is overwhelming, this head bone nearly drove me mad. Yihao sighed softly. Surveying the empty surroundings, a sense of loneliness welled up within him. To say he didn't feel lonely would be a lie. He had spent so much time with the 3 soul beasts that deep bonds had formed between them. After a long silence, Yihao exhaled deeply. Rank 97 soul power. No one in the Duluo continent will be my match now. How lonely it is to be invincible. After absorbing 3 100,000-year soul rings and 3 100,000-year soul bones, Yihao's soul power stabilized at rank 97. The soul-devouring Spider Emperor's second soul ring granted him 2 skills. Soul-devouring Demon Shatter, similar to Evil Tiger's former 8th soul skill, it trapped the target in a crystal, effortlessly crushing them to dust. Orca Breaker Axe, a single target attack skill that shattered all defenses. As for the evil demon Orca King Headbone, it vastly enhanced Yihao's spiritual power and granted him a demonic transformation soul bone skill. This skill doubled his combat prowess, boosting his overall strength by 100%. I'll stabilize my soul power first, then acquire the remaining soul rings and the deep-sea demonic whale king's torso bone. Yihao departed, needing time to fully digest his gains. Meanwhile, on Sea God Island. After 3 months of cultivation, Tang San's soul power had settled at rank 77. Today, he intended to challenge his first guardian Duluo, the Sea Spear Duluo. Among all the guardian Duluos, the Sea Spear Duluo was the only one with a tool-type martial soul. The Nanook Spear, bestowed by the Sea God, was a top-tier weapon-type martial soul. Are you ready? The Sea Spear Duluo glanced at Tang San, his gaze dismissive. Over a year ago, Bo Saixi had already informed them that Tang San had been abandoned by the Sea God. If Tang San came to challenge them, they were to ensure he passed. But if they wanted to teach him a lesson along the way, Bo Saixi wouldn't mind. Those were Bo Saixi's exact words. Bring it on. Tang San nodded, summoning the clear sky hammer. Blue-silver grass spread beneath his feet, swiftly encircling the Sea Spear Duluo. Blue-silver entanglement. Tang San commanded as countless vines of blue-silver grass surged toward the Sea Spear Duluo, endless and overwhelming. At the same time, Tang San raised the clear sky hammer high and swung it down at the Sea Spear Duluo with full force. Pathetic tricks. The Sea Spear Duluo smirked, gripping his golden spear. With a single sweep, the blue-silver grass shattered like falling petals. Then, with just his right hand, the Sea Spear Duluo blocked Tang San's clear sky hammer head-on. What? Tang San's eyes widened in shock. His opponent's strength was terrifying. The clear sky hammer was the #1 tool-type martial soul, yet. A worthless martial soul. What makes you think you can challenge me? The Sea Spear Duluo scoffed before kicking Tang San away. What did you say? Tang San's face twisted in fury at the Sea Spear Duluo's words. Was I wrong? The Sea Spear Duluo rested his golden spear on his shoulder, barely sparing Tang San a glance. You have twin martial souls, you could have had a bright future, but what did you do? To grow stronger quickly, you forced your second martial soul's development, wasting its potential. Tell me, isn't that a worthless martial soul? Tang San gritted his teeth, his expression contorted with rage. You seek death. Slaughter domain. A tangible white aura of killing intent erupted as Tang San advanced, murder in his eyes. 7th soul skill, blue-silver true body. Tang San's 7th soul ring lit up as his body transformed into a towering blue-silver grass. Countless vines, like coiling dragons, surged endlessly toward the Sea Spear Duluo, attempting to entangle him. Pathetic tricks. The Sea Spear Duluo shook his head, his expectations for Tang San already at rock bottom. Then, the 7th soul ring on his golden spear flashed brightly. The Sea Spear Duluo merged into the spear in a streak of golden light, the pinnacle of a tool-type martial soul, unity of man and weapon. Tang San's blue-silver true body was massive, with vines endlessly sprouting and coiling, trying to ensnare the golden spear that was the Sea Spear Duluo and force him to surrender. But Tang San had underestimated his opponent. With a few swift strikes, the Sea Spear Duluo severed the thick blue-silver grass vines and shot into the air. The surrounding seawater began to boil, bubbling like a pot of scalding water. Swish, swish, swish. Countless spears formed from condensed seawater rose from the ocean, surrounding Tang San's blue-silver grass form. Go! The golden spear, now the sea spear Duluo, descended from the sky. At the same time, the countless water spears homed in on Tang San, piercing him like a pincushion. Boom! With a deafening explosion, Tang San was forcibly knocked out of his blue-silver true body state. Blood trickled from the corner of his mouth as he glared at the golden spear, hovering just half an inch from his throat. The killing intent was palpable, one slight movement, and it would pierce through his flesh. I surrender, the sea spear Duluo declared. What? Tang San was stunned. The sea spear Duluo had just won, why was he suddenly conceding? A moment later, the sea spear Duluo withdrew his spear, slung it over his shoulder, and leisurely walked back to the base of the sacred pillar. Didn't you hear me? I surrender, you can leave now. You're looking down on me, Tang San frowned. His opponent had clearly won, why concede? Was this some kind of mockery? The sea spear Duluo sighed. You've already won, move on to the next guardian Duluo. He waved dismissively, urging Tang San to leave. With no other choice, Tang San reluctantly departed. Ungrateful brat. If not for the high priest wanting you off this island sooner, I'd never have surrendered. The sea spear Duluo muttered under his breath once Tang San was gone. After the battle with the sea spear Duluo, Tang San decided to rest before heading to the next guardian Duluo's location. He clearly won, why throw the match? Was he giving me face? Tang San shook his head. I'll see how the sea illusion Duluo fares. If it's the same, I won't waste effort. The sooner I complete the sea god's trials, the sooner I can take revenge. After resting, Tang San made his way toward the sea illusion sacred pillar. They say the sea illusion Duluo's greatest strength is creating illusions that trap people in their own minds. A smug grin spread across Tang San's face. My purple demon eyes can see through all illusions. This should be the easiest trial yet. Confident, he strode toward the sea illusion sacred pillar with his head held high. Though time wasn't pressing, to Tang San, every second counted. He had to complete the sea god's trials quickly. They were his only hope for vengeance against Yi Hao. Before the sea illusion sacred pillar, thick purple mist billowed upward, obscuring the pillar until it vanished entirely. As Tang San approached, a faint purple glint flashed in his eyes. Strange, what's with this mist? I've heard the sea illusion Duluo possesses a domain, the illusory domain. As the name suggested, the sea illusion Duluo could craft illusions so real that any damage suffered within them was real. Few could find their way out once trapped. No matter. Tang San steadied his breathing. With my purple demon eyes, no illusion can deceive me. Carefully, he stepped into the purple mist, and his nightmare began. The prey has entered the cage, let's have some fun. Cloaked in black, the sea illusion Duluo lurked in the shadows, his serpentine martial soul, the phantom serpent, coiled behind him. His specialty was crafting illusions that shattered minds. Many who entered never left. Tang San stood at the heart of the illusion. One moment, the mist was suffocating. The next. What is this? His surroundings had shifted into something eerily familiar. Lavish furnishings, elegant decor, the unmistakable opulence of Moon Pavilion. Tang San had lived here for years. He knew every inch of this place. But I was on Sea God Island. How am I here? No, this has to be an illusion. He pressed his hand against the marble wall. The cold, polished surface felt real. This was my old room in Moon Pavilion. How? Before he could process it, the scene warped again. Clang! Purple chains descended from nowhere, binding him. Damn it, what is this? Panic surged, but worse was yet to come. Tang San, long time no see. The voice he never wanted to hear again rang out. Tang San's blood ran cold as his eyes locked onto the figure before him. Yi Hao. And behind him, Xiao Wu. His mind reeled. She's dead. She has to be dead. No, this is an illusion. The real Xiao Wu died. Brother, I'm alive. Yi Hao captured me. Save me. Tears streamed down Xiao Wu's face as she struggled against Yi Hao's grip, her desperate cries piercing Tang San's heart. His teeth clenched. Last time I failed her. This time, whether she's real or not, Yi Hao, you're dead. He thrashed against the chains, but Yi Hao wasn't idle. A blade flashed in his hand. Slice. A thin red line appeared on Xiao Wu's delicate cheek. Blood welled, then dripped to the floor. No, no. Tang San roared, his eyes burning crimson as he fought against the chains with every ounce of strength. Tang San. Yi Hao smirked, twirling the bloodied knife. How does it feel to be helpless? He leaned in, voice dripping with malice. Don't worry, this is just the beginning. Chapter 269, Tang San's life begins its countdown. I'll carve her up bit by bit, letting you, the founder of the way of deserved death, witness what true retribution looks like. Not that empty threat you keep spouting without ever acting on. Yi Hao toyed with the bloodstained dagger, waving it before Tang San's eyes. Yi Hao Yi Hao. If you let Xiao Wu go, I'll submit to whatever you want. Tang San was desperate. He couldn't bear to see Xiao Wu suffer another moment. Now you panic. Where was this energy earlier? Yi Hao remained unmoved, continuing to fiddle with the blade. As Xiao Wu's screams echoed, Tang San's fury ignited completely. Yi Hao, I swear I'll kill you in this lifetime. Roaring at the sky, Tang San's rage triggered a transformation. The trident mark on his forehead faded, replaced by blood-red hair and crimson streaks across his face. He looked monstrous. A demon crawled straight from hell. All you ever say is way of deserved death, way of deserved death. Can't you come up with better lines? Then again, I shouldn't expect much from a Tang sect orphan who stole their secret techniques as an outer disciple. Only a traitor like you would commit such heresy. Yi Hao's taunt struck like knives. Tang San's face darkened with rage. Who are you calling a traitor? I've never betrayed the Tang sect. I am and always will be a member of the Tang sect. How dare you? Article 3 of the Mysterious Heaven Record. Once an enemy is identified as deserving death, show no mercy. Hesitation only breeds future troubles. More of that Mysterious Heaven Record nonsense. Yi Hao sighed in exasperation. Insult my Tang sect again, and you die. Tang San's features twisted grotesquely, his murderous intent long since solidified. Whether this was an illusion or reality, today, Yi Hao would perish. As Tang San advanced step by step, the real Yi Hao, meditating in seclusion at Spirit Hall, suddenly opened his eyes. The slaughter domain's influence is taking effect. It seems Tang San has reached Poseidon's 5th trial and is trapped in the sea illusion Duoluo's hallucination. The time to kill him has come. A faint red light flickered between Yi Hao's brows as a massive screen materialized in his mind, displaying Tang San's ordeal. In the vision, Tang San raised his clear sky hammer, preparing to smash Yi Hao's skull in a fit of rage. At the critical moment, crack! The illusion shattered like glass, plunging everything into darkness once more. So it was an illusion after all. Tang San frowned as the dark red markings on his face faded. He had no idea what had come over him, only that he'd felt unprecedentedly powerful. The unexpected surge of strength delighted him, another hidden card against his countless enemies. Unbeknownst to him, an invisible hand was pulling all the strings. The surroundings shifted again, this time to a sparse room in Spirit Hall. There, Tang San encountered his old nemesis once more. Yi Hao, you again. Tang San's teeth ground audibly. In this life, he and Yi Hao were irreconcilable, only one could survive. Tang San, we meet again. Yi Hao smiled eerily, offering a casual greeting. Tang San remained silent, his face darker than a burnt pot. You're not Yi Hao, what game are you playing? He demanded. Truth and illusion, illusion and truth. What you dismiss as fake might sometimes be real. Yi Hao ignored the question, instead extending a skewer of roasted rabbit meat. All this fighting is tiresome, hungry. Something's wrong here. Yi Hao, no matter what tricks you're pulling, no one can save you this time. The clear sky hammer materialized in Tang San's grip. Who said I was running? Yi Hao remained calm, taking a large bite of rabbit meat before offering it again. Last chance, want some? I swore an oath, for Xiao Wu's sake, I'd never eat rabbit again. You killed her, Yi Hao. Whether this is real or not, today I'll have vengeance. The clear sky hammer descended. Whoosh! Yi Hao dodged at the last second. The hammer obliterated the remaining meat, splattering grease across its surface. Such waste! Do you know how rare this tender rabbit meat is? A once-in-a-lifetime delicacy from a 100,000-year-old soft-bone rabbit, no less. The finest ingredients require the simplest preparation. What did you say? Tang San froze, his voice trembling. Yi Hao, repeat that. What? That the finest ingredients? Not that, the part before. Tang San's eyes burned crimson as the slaughter domain's influence resurfaced. The 100,000-year-old soft-bone rabbit meat got a problem with that. Yi Hao feigned ignorance, studying Tang San's reaction. Zio Wu, Zio Wu. In a daze, Tang San gathered the meat scraps clinging to his hammer. Yi Hao, you monster. You ate Xiao Wu, how could you? Faced with the accusation, Yi Hao scoffed. Tang San, you're the real monster here. You've been consorting with beasts for years. If soul beasts can eat humans, why can't we eat them? Xiao Wu was human, not a soul beast. Madness gripped Tang San, his fists clenched until the knuckles whitened. Human. Yi Hao laughed coldly. When soul beasts take human form, they exist in two stages, juvenile and mature. A juvenile like that rabbit could be spotted by any competent soul duo. Title duo see through them instantly. Only at level 60 do they reach maturity. Only then do they become truly human. Locking eyes with Tang San, Yi Hao swallowed his last bite. If she was human, why did a 100,000-year-old rabbit seek out a 30-something-year-old like you at Notting Primary Spirit Academy? Why play at being siblings? Don't you find it suspicious that an ancient creature would cozy up to you? Chapter 269, Tang San's Final Countdown, continued. Yi Hao's arguments were logical and well-founded, leaving Tang San momentarily speechless. No, I believe in Zio Wu. I trust her completely. Tang San clung stubbornly to his conviction, his love blinding him to any possibility that Zio Wu might have ulterior motives. On the contrary, Yi Hao continued calmly, when I captured that rabbit, it was still in its juvenile form. Could it truly be considered human, merely a beast masquerading as one? As I said before, if soul beasts can devour humans, why can't we consume them? Those who are not of our kind will always harbor malicious intentions. You, who conspires with soul beasts and isn't even native to this world, what right do you have to lecture me? Is it me who deserves death, or is it your precious Tang sect that's filled with hypocrites like you? You constantly preach about the way of deserved death, yet back at Notting Primary Academy, you marked that gatekeeper for death simply because he mocked you. Had you Ziogang not arrived in time, your silent sleeve arrows would have pierced his skull. Tang San trembled with rage, his chest heaving violently. Shut up, shut you P. Yi Hao, you insult me repeatedly. I swear I'll kill you in this lifetime. His fury knew no bounds. Having his darkest secrets exposed publicly left him humiliated beyond measure. Kill me, here I am. Yi Hao thumped his chest mockingly. Come on then, all talk and no action, when have you ever backed up your threats? Aoch. Blinded by rage, Tang San charged forward with his clear sky hammer raised high. Suddenly, Yi Hao vanished again. The surroundings dissolved into thick purple mist, leaving Tang San disoriented. Nearby, beneath the Sea Illusion sacred pillar, Sea Illusion Duo watched in shock. Lady Poseidon was right, this Tang San is utterly deranged. If someone like him were to inherit Lord Poseidon's divine position, it would spell disaster for our island. Fortunately, Lord Poseidon sees the truth. Otherwise, catastrophe would be inevitable. His eyes hardened with resolve. Let me intensify the illusion, dig deeper into Tang San's darkness. I want to see what other despicable secrets he's hiding. A violet beam shot skyward from his position as the surrounding mist thickened ominously. Tang San, lost within, wandered blindly, his vaunted purple demon eyes useless against this profound illusion. Atop the sea god mountain within the Grand Hall, Poseidon's Grand Priestess sat solemnly upon her throne. Every word exchanged between Tang San and the illusory, Yi Hao played out clearly before her. She had believed she understood Tang San's character. But as Yi Hao systematically exposed his atrocities, the true depths of Tang San's depravity became undeniable. He who seeks death will find it. This Tang San truly deserves to perish. She sighed heavily. We must accelerate his trials. The sooner he leaves this island, the better. Within the illusion, the scenery shifted dramatically, crumbling ruins surrounded by raging flames. And there, emerging from the fire, stood Yi Hao once more. "Ahhh, you again, why is it always you?" Madness gripped Tang San. His eyes, once sharp, now glazed over with hysteria. Yi Hao spoke coolly. "We haven't finished discussing your misdeeds. Last time, we covered how you nearly murdered that gatekeeper. Remember your trip to hunt Soul Forest with Yu Xiaogeng? The moment you revealed your hidden weapons to him, you already contemplated killing your own teacher." "Stop talking, please stop." Tang San clutched his ears, driven to the brink by Yi Hao's relentless torment. "The truth cannot be silenced. You committed these acts, yet now pretend ignorance. Poor Yu Xiaogeng, to have taken in such a wolf in sheep's clothing as his disciple. One moment you declare a teacher for a day is a father for life. The next you plot his murder. How ungrateful can you be, even scheming against the man who taught you everything? That cliff you jumped from at Ghost Crying Valley, it wasn't some noble sacrifice. You simply feared being captured by the Tang sect. You planned to master the mysterious heaven record, return to slaughter them all, and proclaim, 'You drove me to jump, but I survived. Now you all deserve death.'" Tang San shook with uncontrollable fury. "Have you finished?" Being stripped bare of all pretenses left him utterly exposed. He couldn't deny any of it. These were his own actions, his own thoughts. Only one solution remained. Silence Yi Hao permanently before more secrets spilled out. "Not even close." Yi Hao smirked. Just as he began speaking again, Tang San launched a surprise attack. "Yi Hao Dai." The clear sky hammer descended with crushing force. Cracked. The illusionary Yi Hao shattered like glass, fragments scattering like glittering dust. "I did it, I finally killed Yi Hao, HHHA." Tang San's maniacal laughter echoed through the void. In his deranged state, he could no longer distinguish illusion from reality. Then, Yi Hao reappeared, completely unharmed. "Why?" Tang San's elation turned to horrified disbelief. "Tang San, I am the nightmare you can never escape." Yi Hao's smile was chilling. Within this illusionary realm, Yi Hao was deathless. "Pitiful Yu Xiaogeng, to have placed his hopes in an ungrateful wretch like you. Even in death, he considered you his pride. He truly believed you'd redeem his failures. Little did he know, you'd marked him for death long ago." "Enough." Tang San's roar shook the imaginary sky. That platitude about teachers being lifelong fathers. Now it rang utterly hollow. Meanwhile, thousands of miles away in Spirit Hall, the real Yi Hao opened his eyes, a satisfied smile playing on his lips. See, illusion DOLOU's hallucination lives up to its reputation. To think it could fabricate something so convincingly real. Trapped within that domain, Tang San's deepest nightmares surfaced, and naturally, his greatest fear materialized as me. The way he trembled in rage, truly amusing to recall. He rose to his feet, determination hardening his gaze. "But enough games, it's time to end this. Tang San, your hour of reckoning has come." Chapter 270, Tang San, how dare you disrespect me? The time was ripe. Yi Hao prepared to depart for Sea God Island. His goals were threefold: kill Tang San, acquire the remaining soul rings along the journey, and complete the final requirement of his 8th trial by hunting the deep-sea demonic whale king for its soul ring and bone. Time would not wait. Yi Hao exited Spirit Hall and went to the rear of the Elder Hall, where he stored the Death God's temple within the Death God's heart. The moment will not wait for me. This time, I will surely succeed. Having prepared everything, Yi Hao soared into the sky and set off on his journey. Meanwhile, before the Sea Illusion's sacred pillar, Tang San stood in tattered clothing, his mental state visibly disturbed, his entire appearance thoroughly disheveled. Within Sea Illusion DOLOU's illusionary realm, Tang San had suffered more psychological blows than ever before in his life. From beginning to end, Yi Hao had thoroughly dominated him. His mind, soul, and body had been ceaselessly trampled and violated. From start to finish, Tang San had been stripped of all dignity, leaving him feeling that only death could bring relief. "No, I cannot die yet," Tang San muttered as he forced himself back to his feet. "I have not yet avenged Xiao Wu. Yi Hao still lives and I have not killed him. I cannot perish here." His gaze turned icy as he stared at Illusion Duluo standing before him, murderous intent radiating from his brow. "You actually broke free from the illusions and made it here. I must admit, I'm surprised. I concede. You may proceed to the next sacred pillar." Illusion Duluo had clearly sensed Tang San's killing intent. Seeing Tang San lingering instead of leaving, the guardian coldly snorted. A surge of oppressive aura washed over Tang San, causing him to stagger. His chest tightened, and a trickle of blood escaped the corner of his mouth. "I am the sea god's heir. How dare you show me such disrespect?" Tang San was furious. Back when he had first received the sea god's 9 trials, the Grand Priestess had declared that his status was equal to hers as the future inheritor of the sea god's power. With this identity, Tang San had naturally come to view Sea God Island as his future domain. Hearing this, Illusion Duluo nearly laughed. "You are not the sea god yet. Right now, you are merely an heir. Hurry to the next sacred pillar. Time will not wait for you." Illusion Duluo paid him no further attention, deliberately ignoring him. "You." Humiliated, Tang San angrily tore off his ruined robes and stormed away with a face full of rage. Once Tang San was gone, Illusion Duluo could not help but chuckle. He really thinks he's something special. A man already forsaken by the sea god, where does he get such arrogance? If not for the Grand Priestess's orders forbidding me from killing him, he would already be dead. A mere soul sage acting so presumptuous, if he actually became a title Duluo, who knows how high his tail would wag. At any rate, Tang San will soon be dead. Why bother with him? Not far away, Tang San, who had already walked some distance, retrieved fresh clothing from his 24 moonlit bridges and changed into them. Illusion Duluo, just you wait. Once I become a god, you will be the first one I deal with. The illusions he had endured had originated from Illusion Duluo. He was the true culprit. Trapped in that illusionary realm, Tang San had suffered torment beyond what any ordinary person could endure. The psychological damage had been immense. Most painfully, the reenactment of being forced by the Tang sect elders to leap from ghost-crying valley had perfectly mirrored his past life's suffering. This was a memory etched into his bones, one he could never forget. You embody the way of deserved death. You cannot be allowed to live. With a cold snort, Tang San finished adjusting his clothes and headed toward the next sacred pillar. For now, completing the trials took precedence. The next morning, the sun rose in the east. Warm sunlight pierced through the clouds, rousing the Stardew Great Forest from its slumber. Yi Hao stepped into the forest's territory, his goal being to obtain the remaining soul rings he needed. For his soul-devouring Spider Emperor Martial Soul, he required 3rd through 8th soul rings. Ideally, he needed to hunt 6 soul beasts, each at least 50,000 years old, powerful enough to match his strength while also being highly compatible with him. The winding paths led deep into the forest, where towering ancient trees were everywhere. Soul beasts of all sizes roamed freely, some mere decades old, others centuries or even millennia. After searching for a long time, Yi Hao had encountered many 10,000-year soul beasts. However, those exceeding 50,000 years were scarce, almost nowhere to be found. Perhaps only the deepest parts of the Stardew Great Forest will have them, Yi Hao sighed. Who would have thought he would ever be troubled by something like soul rings? On Sea God Island, before the sea siren's sacred pillar. Aza. Tang San fell to his knees, his face twisted in agony, teeth bared, expression completely distorted. Sea Siren Duluo, clad in black with a fish-like tail, held a dark flute in her hands. Her 7th soul ring suddenly brightened. Martial Soul True Body. As the 7th soul ring flashed, an enormous figure resembling Sea Siren Duluo materialized behind her. her martial soul true body form. The mournful melody began anew. Sea Siren Duluo's ocean calming divine tune was a wide-range attack that used sound waves to overwhelm opponents, leaving them unable to muster any resistance. It was a mental-type assault. Tang San had arrived unprepared and was caught completely off guard. His mind was crumbling, his knees locked firmly against the ground. He had long heard of Sea Siren Duluo's infamous ocean, calming divine tune. Now that he had experienced it firsthand, its reputation was well-deserved. With no mental-type head soul bone to protect him, Tang San stood no chance against its effects. Aza! Tang San writhed in pain, fists clenched so tightly his nails drew blood. Just you, wait, he snarled through gritted teeth, hatred burning in his eyes for this Sea Siren Duluo. In fact, his loathing extended to all the sacred pillar guardians. Why? Because while Tang San remained unaware, the 6 guardians all knew the truth. He had already been abandoned by the sea god. In other words, they were toying with him deliberately. Even if Tang San completed the sea god's 9 trials, he would never inherit the sea god's divine position. Right now, Sea Siren Duluo was simply venting her frustrations. Suddenly, she intensified her playing, the melody growing even more enchanting. Before Tang San's despairing eyes, her 9th soul ring flared to life. HMPH, you still dare to threaten me? Let me show you the true power of my ocean calming divine tune. Her eyes gleamed as she unleashed her full force upon him, ruthlessly crushing his spirit. Aza! Tang San's agonized screams echoed from the Sea Siren's sacred pillar, bringing faint smiles to the faces of the other 5 guardians. Meanwhile, Sea Dragon Duluo cracked his knuckles, ready and waiting for Tang San's arrival. Deep within the Stardew Great Forest. How strange. The deeper I go into the core region, the fewer soul beasts there are. I remember there being many here before. Frowning, Yihao realized that at this rate, he might search all day without finding a suitable target. Landing on the damp forest floor, he sighed. There's no other choice, I'll have to resort to this. From the death god's heart, he retrieved the aromatic silk beauty, planting it in an open area. Meanwhile, Yihao himself leaped up, perching silently on a tree branch as he activated the death god's heart's concealment. He waited, observing his surroundings carefully. Before long, the winds shifted, and powerful presences began to stir. They're coming. Yihao's heart skipped a beat as over a dozen powerful auras suddenly approached, each radiating formidable strength. Right on cue, an 8-meter-long man-faced demon emperor spider descended from above, landing precisely 10 meters away from the aromatic silk beauty. It extended 8 thick, hairy legs, while viscous saliva dripped from its maw. Its multiple beady eyes locked onto the suddenly appeared treasure herb with predatory focus. A man-faced demon emperor spider over 50,000 years, not a bad choice. Yihao nodded approvingly from his concealed position. As fellow demon spider species like my soul-devouring spider emperor martial soul, you'll make an excellent 3rd soul ring. Just as the spider opened its cavernous maw to swallow the herb whole, the immortal fragrant velvet abruptly vanished without trace, as if it had never existed. The man-faced demon emperor spider froze in stunned silence. This sudden disappointment proved too much to bear. Within moments, the spider descended into madness, spewing corrosive purple webs in all directions. Towering ancient trees began dissolving under the acidic assault, collapsing one after another. Even Yihao's perch wasn't spared. As the arboreal giants toppled, Yihao dropped gracefully before the enraged arachnid, crooking his index finger in a taunting gesture. Come get me. The provocation worked perfectly. The spider unleashed its full fury in an unprecedented offensive. Someone's angry, Yihao grinned, summoning the Usura demon sword without ceremony. Clang, clang, clang. A series of crisp strikes later, most of the spider's legs lay severed on the forest floor. The maimed creature attempted to flee, dragging its wounded body away, only to find Yihao materializing before it once more. Where do you think you're going, my 3rd soul ring? Resting the demonic blade on his shoulder, Yihao advanced with ominous amusement. One final slash later, the man-faced demon emperor spider breathed its last. No soul bone drop. My luck must be terrible today, Yihao sighed, rubbing his chin. Soul bones weren't guaranteed drops after all. No matter, time to absorb the soul ring first. Sitting cross-legged, Yihao activated the death god's heart to conceal his presence. The core region of Stardew Forest remained dangerous, especially after the herb's scent had attracted so many powerful soul beasts. Though most had fled during the earlier battle, only the truly formidable remained nearby. Guided by Yihao's soul power, the shimmering black 50,000-year soul ring floated above him. Simultaneously, the phantom of his soul devouring Spider Emperor Martial's soul materialized behind him, its two blood-red 100,000-year soul rings glowing vibrantly. Any observer would have been astonished 100,000-year soul rings were legendary treasures rarely obtained. The absorption process proved challenging. Beyond the normal difficulties, Yihao had to constantly guard against the spider's lingering spiritual resentment. Having cultivated over 50,000 years only to be cheated of its prize and slain so ignominiously, the spider's hatred ran deep. Ahem. Yihao's brow furrowed slightly. This creature's grudge is unusually strong. A black gleam flashed between his eyebrows as a spectral scythe sliced through the spiritual residue, cleansing all lingering malice. Too weak to matter. After what felt like ages, Yihao reopened his eyes, sensing his power had grown noticeably. No soul rank advancement. Breaking through each level past 97 is incredibly difficult. No wonder some title Duoluo remains stuck at this bottleneck. Perhaps only the deep-sea demonic whale king's near-million-year soul ring can propel me straight to 99. Shaking his head, Yihao stood decisively. Enough speculation. Time to head deeper. If I remember correctly, those three little ants should be in the innermost sanctum now that the Titan giant ape and sky azure bull python are gone. His third soul ring had granted him a new ability. Spider Emperor Possession, a 100% all-stat boost. Not bad, more than satisfactory. Meanwhile, on Sea God Island, Tang San lay twitching on the ground, his psyche shattered by Sea Siren Duoluo's ocean, calming divine tune. His lips trembled uncontrollably. Impressive, most would have broken long before this. I concede proceed to the final sacred pillar. Sea Siren Duoluo smirked, clearly amused by his suffering. It took considerable time before Tang San could even stand. The haunting melody still echoed in his ears, leaving him disoriented and unsteady. Are you all conspiring against me? He finally spat through gritted teeth. Whatever do you mean? Sea Siren feigned innocence. First Sea Spear Duoluo inexplicably surrendered after defeating me. Then Sea Illusion Duoluo tortured me in that nightmare realm. Sea Devil Duoluo, and now you. Tang San pointed an accusing finger, voice rising hysterically. I am the sea god's heir. How dare you treat me this way? Aren't you afraid of divine retribution? Sea Siren merely shrugged, utterly unfazed. Little did Tang San know, the sea god had already revoked his inheritance. These trials merely served to hasten his departure from the island. Outside, Yihao lay in wait like a spider for its prey. The Guardian's mistreatment simply added poetic justice to Tang San's doomed pilgrimage. When Tang San showed no signs of leaving, Sea Siren lost patience. Go now, unless you want an encore. She brandished her black flute threateningly. The sight triggered visceral terror in Tang San. Cold sweat drenched his back as he finally stumbled away, shooting venomous glances over his shoulder. Truly refuses to acknowledge reality until facing utter ruin, Sea Siren muttered once he was gone. How did such trash ever qualify as an heir? Chapter 271, Yihao's 3 100,000-year soul rings. In the core region of the Stardew Great Forest lay a beautiful lake with crystal-clear water, surrounded by towering ancient trees. After the Titan giant ape and sky azure bull python were captured by Yihao, this territory had changed hands. Now, the area was occupied by 3 powerful soul beasts, 3 90,000-year-old thousand caddies ant emperors, each nearing the 100,000-year threshold. Each ant emperor measured about 3 meters in length, their bodies covered in dark golden chitin. 6 thick, powerful legs supported their massive frames, while 6 eerie green eyes glowed ominously from their heads. Before long, Yihao arrived. Sure enough, his attention was immediately drawn to the 3,000 caddies ant emperors lurking in the lake. Thank heavens, they're really here. The Stardew Great Forest was vast, the largest soul beast habitat on the DOLOU continent. Finding a specific soul beast here was like searching for a needle in a haystack. Fortunately, his trip hadn't been in vain. The 3 ant emperors quickly noticed Yihao's arrival. Almost instantly, one of them took flight, its intent clear to kill the intruder. All soul beasts possessed strong territorial instincts, and these 3 were no exception. Back when the Sky Azure Bull Python and Titan Giant Ape ruled this land, they wouldn't have dared encroach. In fact, the 3 ant emperors had once clashed fiercely with the 2 former rulers, only to be soundly defeated. But times had changed. With the bull python and giant ape captured by Yihao, the lake had naturally become their domain. Is this your idea of a welcome? Yihao frowned slightly as 9 soul rings rose beneath his feet, the Death Spider Emperor manifesting behind him. Death Domain. Instantly, a purple-tinged domain expanded from Yihao, withering all plant life within its range into nothingness. After obtaining his 9th spider soul ring, Yihao's death domain had grown even more potent, capable of effortlessly snuffing out life within its bounds. The first charging ant emperor immediately plummeted from the sky, convulsing violently as its body rapidly decayed. Nothing could survive within Yihao's death domain. The remaining 2 ant emperors erupted in fury, emerging from the lake with all 6 eyes locked murderously on Yihao. Yet they hesitated to attack. Their companion was already on death's door, its energy fading fast within the domain. Ah, I almost forgot about you 2. Let's see how you fare against my death domain. The domain expanded visibly, creeping toward the remaining ant emperors. Instinctively, they turned to flee. Running, you think you can escape. Death God's Heart Abyssal Bind. Yihao hurled the Death God's Heart forward, sprinting alongside it. The artifact immobilized one ant emperor completely, while Yihao engaged the other, his arms morphing into demonic scythes. Damn, they hit hard. Yihao was forced back a step. The ant emperors possessed terrifying strength and battle instincts. This exchange made him grateful he'd only engaged one at a time. If all 3 had attacked simultaneously, even he might have struggled. 6th soul skill, Blood-Sucking Spider Thorns. His 6th soul ring, a dazzling red 100,000-year ring, flared to life, sending shivers down the ant emperor's carapaces. Countless purple spikes materialized behind Yihao before raining down like a deadly storm. The ant emperor trapped in the death domain was instantly skewered, collapsing with a final resentful screech as the domain corroded its body into nothingness. Only a black 10,000-year soul ring remained floating above its remains. With one down, it was time for the next. Yihao dismissed the Death Spider Emperor's form, switching to his 2nd martial soul, the soul-devouring Spider Emperor. A dark green spider web pattern emerged on his forehead as an eerie emerald glow enveloped his body. 3 pairs of crystalline spider legs sprouted from his back, while his arms transformed into razor-sharp lances. His lower body was encased in a shroud of viridian light. His gaze locked onto the ant emperor still frozen by the death god's heart. 1st soul skill, Eternal Demise. Another blood-red 100,000-year ring ignited as Yihao crossed his spider-lance arms, their edges gleaming with a sinister light. Just then, the remaining free ant emperor lunged at him, only for Yihao to vanish, leaving its attack to slice through empty air. The immobilized ant emperor was bisected cleanly. Eternal Demise was an overpowering physical attack skill, one that ignored all defensive abilities. No matter how tough the ant emperor's armor was, it meant nothing against this technique. Even the vaunted invincible golden body could be pierced effortlessly. What hope did a mere ant have? The 2nd ant emperor fell lifeless, its own black 10,000-year soul ring materializing above it. Now for you. Yihao turned to the sole survivor. With 2 of its kin dead, the last ant emperor had lost all its earlier bravado. Yet, to Yihao's surprise, it attacked anyway. The earth cracked as the ant emperor scanned frantically for its foe. Sky Azure Annihilation Thunder. A searing blue lightning bolt descended from the heavens, striking the Ant Emperor squarely. Recognize this move, it's the Sky Azure Bull Pythons. Yihao hovered midair, using the blue-silver Emperor's right leg bone, smirking down at his scorched opponent. Since we're being honest, I was the one who captured that bull python and giant ape. You three only got to claim this place because of me. His words sent a seismic shock through the Ant Emperor. At their near 100,000 year cultivation, they understood human speech perfectly. And right now, it understood one thing clearly: it was doomed. Enough games, it's time to send you on your way. The second soul ring of the soul-devouring spider emperor lit up as Yihao extended his right hand and made a sudden grasping motion. Second soul skill, soul-devouring demon shatter. The remaining 1,000 Hades Ant Emperor became encased in red crystal, completely immobilized. Destroy. With Yihao's command, the crystallized Ant Emperor exploded into fine powder, leaving only a black 10,000-year soul ring floating in its place. With this, all 3,000 Hades Ant Emperors had been completely annihilated. Yihao descended from the air, using the death god's heart to conceal his own aura as he observed the 3 remaining soul rings. 3 90,000-year soul rings. This presented Yihao with a dilemma. Absorbing a single 90,000-year soul ring that was approaching the 100,000-year threshold would take considerable time. By the time he finished, the other 2 soul rings would have already dissipated. Wouldn't that make all his previous efforts meaningless? I'll take the risk. Gritting his teeth, Yihao used his soul power to draw all 3 soul rings toward him simultaneously. The phantom image of the soul-devouring spider emperor appeared behind Yihao, as the 3 90,000-year soul rings positioned themselves above his existing 2 red and 1 black soul rings. Absorbing 3 high-level soul rings at once was unprecedented in the history of soul masters. Yihao's expression changed as he felt the tremendous power continuously emanating from the 3 90,000-year soul rings. The overwhelming pressure caused intense pain throughout his meridians. Fortunately, Yihao had consumed the octagonal mysterious ice grass and infernal delicate apricot, and his body had been transformed by the ice and fire yin-yang well. An ordinary person would have been completely crushed by the power of these 3 90,000-year soul rings. As time passed minute by minute, the Usura mark between Yihao's eyebrows faintly flickered with red light. The absorption process was extremely arduous, no less dangerous than walking the line between life and death. The power of the 3,000 Hades Ant Emperors was simply too tyrannical, forcing Yihao to exert every ounce of his strength. At the same time, on Sea God Island, at the Sea Dragon's sacred pillar, Sea Dragon DOLOU was the strongest among all the sacred pillar guardians, with soul power reaching rank 95. He was also the final opponent in Tang San's 5th Sea God trial. With a difference of more than 10 soul power levels between them, Tang San struggled to keep up, gradually falling into a disadvantageous position. At this moment, Tang San was being beaten black and blue. The gap in soul power was simply too large, and Sea Dragon DOLOU was thoroughly thrashing him. Blue-silver entanglement. Tang San manipulated his blue-silver grass, summoning thick vines from all directions to completely surround Sea Dragon DOLOU. Is this the only move you have? Sea Dragon DOLOU waved his hand casually, releasing a powerful energy wave from his body that reduced all the surrounding blue-silver grass to dust, completely shattered. Damn it! Tang San gritted his teeth, his fists clenched tightly. Sea Dragon DOLOU hadn't even used any soul skills, relying solely on his formidable strength to push Tang San to his absolute limits. Slaughter Domain. A white, murderous aura spread outward from Tang San. Seeing this, Sea Dragon DOLOU shook his head helplessly. Don't you know, domains are basically useless against me. My domain breaker can nullify any domain in the world. As he spoke, strange blue ripples spread outward from Sea Dragon DOLOU's chest, instantly dispersing the white murderous aura surrounding them. The slaughter domain had been broken. Just like that, effortlessly. What? Tang San couldn't help but be shocked, his heart pounding nervously to the point that his palms were sweating. "You're far too weak. If this is all the strength you have, then I'm truly disappointed." Sea Dragon Duoluo planned to thoroughly teach Tang San a lesson before voluntarily admitting defeat, allowing Tang San to complete this 5th trial. Of course, he also hoped Tang San would leave Sea God Island as soon as possible. However, according to the Sea God's trials, Tang San could only leave after completing the first 7 trials. Now that the trials had reached the 5th one, the day Tang San would leave the island was drawing nearer. 7th Soul Skill, Blue-Silver True Body. Tang San transformed into a gigantic blue-silver grass, with countless thick vines emerging endlessly as he launched his attack against Sea Dragon Duoluo. At the Sea God Temple, Bo Saixi watched the scene unfolding on the large water screen before her, which displayed the battle between Tang San and Sea Dragon Duoluo. Good, the plan is proceeding in an orderly manner. Tang San's 5th trial is about to be completed, which means the 6th trial. Bo Saixi smiled slightly. The time had come. In the previous battles, Tang San had been thoroughly beaten by 5 of the Sacred Pillar Guardians, without gaining recognition from any of them. Originally, the 6th trial required enduring attacks from all the Sacred Pillar Guardians for the time it takes 1 stick of incense to burn. But now, Bo Saixi would personally take action instead. Of course, Bo Saixi wouldn't go all out, nor would she kill Tang San. To her, killing Tang San would only dirty her hands. Beyond Sea God Island, she believed Yi Hao was already prepared, just waiting for Tang San to appear. Far away on the Duoluo continent, thousands of miles from Sea God Island, in the core region of the Star du Great Forest, Yi Hao's expression was calm as the 390,000-year soul rings gradually stabilized. The 3 black soul rings now contained faint red specks of light. His head, arms, and leg bones emitted different glows, shining brightly and radiating heat. After a long while, Yi Hao slowly opened his eyes, feeling that his strength had grown significantly compared to before. Rank 98 Soul Power. Yi Hao spoke softly. After absorbing the 390,000-year soul rings, his soul power had now reached rank 98. 6 soul rings lit up beneath his feet, 2 red, 1 black, and 3 red. That's right, during the absorption process of the 3,000 Caddies Ant Emperor Brothers soul rings, the 390,000-year rings had evolved, breaking through to the 100,000-year level. A blessing in disguise. Yi Hao retrieved the Death God's heart, and his figure reappeared in the area. 3 soul rings successfully absorbed. Now I just need the 7th and 8th rings. It's time to set off. I wonder who will provide my next soul ring. Yi Hao left the core region of the Star du Great Forest and continued his journey to find suitable soul rings. Meanwhile, back at the Sea Dragon Sacred Pillar on Sea God Island, Tang San had been thoroughly beaten by Sea Dragon Duoluo. Even after using his martial soul true body, Tang San was still being forced into constant retreat. Aza! Tang San screamed as Sea Dragon Duoluo's punch sent him crashing out of his true body form. His clothes were in tatters, blood flowing freely, his entire appearance utterly wretched. The difference in strength was simply too great. With more than 10 soul power levels separating them, it was like comparing heaven and earth. Damn it, Tang San struggled to stand up, but the intense pain racking his body made it impossible to keep going. You've lasted quite long enough, I admit defeat. Sea Dragon Duoluo's words completely shocked Tang San. Sea Dragon Duoluo had conceded. How could this be? He had been completely dominating the fight. Why? Why would Sea Dragon Duoluo admit defeat? Considering the behavior of the previous 5 Sacred Pillar Guardians, Tang San felt there must be something fishy going on. Sea God's 5th trial complete. The golden trident mark between Tang San's eyebrows flashed as his 5th trial was completed. You may leave now. Sea Dragon Duoluo waved his hand dismissively, indicating that Tang San could go. Why did you admit defeat? You clearly won, so why? Tang San stared at Sea Dragon Duoluo and demanded an answer. Why can't we admit defeat? Sea Dragon Duoluo glanced at Tang San and replied. Chapter 272, The Final Battle. What? Tang San was stunned. Was this the reason all 6 sacred pillar Duluos had surrendered? Obviously, Tang San couldn't believe it. Seeing Tang San still unwilling to let it go, Dragon Duluo sighed inwardly. Only then did he explain. The 7 sacred pillar Duluos are as close as brothers. As you know, Seahorse was killed some time ago, and the murderer still hasn't been found. The reason we chose to surrender like this was to help you complete the 6th trial as soon as possible. Let me ask you, with your current strength, could you defeat all 6 of us within 36 hours? No. Tang San shook his head truthfully. What a joke. How could a soul sage possibly be a match for title Duluos? Moreover, he had already suffered at the hands of 6 title Duluos. If they hadn't voluntarily surrendered one after another, he wouldn't even have made it past the first opponent, Spear Duluo. After everything he'd been through, the torment from 5 title Duluos, the illusions of Illusion Duluo, the Sea God Song of Witch Duluo, and the overwhelming power of Dragon Duluo, Tang San had been thoroughly humiliated. His face had been ground into the dirt, and he was furious about it. So, you're saying you want me to find the murderer and avenge Horse Duluo? Tang San asked. That's part of it. Dragon Duluo's eyes lit up. The Spirit Hall has now established the Spirit Empire, and Sea God Island will inevitably become their next target. As the Sea God's heir, we 6 have united to temper your will. By pushing you to your limits before surrendering, we aim to forge you through life and death trials. Tang San. So, the sooner you complete the Sea God's trials, the better it will be for Sea God Island. Dragon Duluo said much more, before finally convincing Tang San. Only after Tang San left did Dragon Duluo sigh softly. Lying through my teeth was harder than I thought. But at least I got to beat him up once, call it even. Not long after leaving the Sea Dragon Sacred Pillar, Tang San immediately returned to his quarters. Now that the 5th trial is over, I'm one step closer to becoming the Sea God. He pressed a hand to his aching chest, nearly choking on his breath. Damn that Sea Dragon Duluo, he hit me so hard. Once I become the Sea God, I'll make sure he knows how it feels. He snorted coldly. Let me see what the 6th trial entails. Sea God's 6th trial. Endure the attacks of Sea God Duluo Bo Saixi for the time it takes 1 stick of incense to burn. Passing the trial requires survival. Reading this, Tang San froze like a statue, sitting motionless in place. This wasn't a trial, it was an impossible task. No, it was practically a death sentence. Several days later. Stardew Great Forest. Yihao wandered tirelessly through the forest. Over the past few days, he had traversed every corner of the Stardew Great Forest. After obtaining the 3 100,000-year soul rings from the 1,000 Caddies Ant Emperors, he had also acquired a 50,000-year soul ring from an Earth Cave Spider Emperor, finally stabilizing his soul power at rank 98. But despite searching for days, he had found nothing. Had soul beasts become scarce due to excessive human hunting, or were they all hiding from him in fear? Frustrated, Yihao sat on a tree branch and sighed helplessly. Stardew Great Forest? Ah, Stardew Great Forest. You're supposed to be the continent's top soul beast habitat. How is it that I can't find a single decent soul beast? He scanned his surroundings. The forest was eerily quiet, the towering trees lush and dense. Closing his eyes, a black light flickered between his brows as his spiritual power rapidly expanded outward. After a long while, still nothing. He shook his head. Forget it. Time to head for Sea God Island. The ocean has more soul beasts than this forest anyway. Maybe I'll find something suitable there. Having made up his mind, Yihao prepared to leave. Retracing his steps, he walked for a long time before inadvertently returning to the core region of the Stardew Great Forest, the same place where he had slain the 3,000-eyed Ant Emperors days earlier. Their remains had long been disposed of, and now, the territory had been claimed by another powerful soul beast. When Yihao arrived, the sight before him left him speechless. Roar! A deep tiger's growl echoed through the forest. Holy! Dark demon evil god tiger. Before him stood an enormous black tiger over 8 meters long, its entire body pitch black with bulging muscles. Its blood-red eyes radiated a sinister aura, and the black king character on its forehead stood out starkly. Most peculiar was its tail, hook-shaped and composed of countless bony segments. Yi Hao had once read about this creature in Bibai Dong's records. Nearly extinct, this soul beast grew stronger by devouring both humans and other soul beasts. Like the man-faced demon spider, it was universally despised by soul masters, so much so that its numbers were even scarcer, teetering on the brink of extinction. This dark demon evil god tiger is over 60,000 years old, but its strength rivals that of a 100,000-year soul beast. This might very well be the same one from the records. Yi Hao had originally planned to leave, but sensing another powerful presence in the core region, curiosity got the better of him. And now, he found the dark demon evil god tiger occupying the territory. Incredible power. Logically, it should be aligned with darkness, but it's not. The evil god's descent must have mutated an ordinary white tiger into this abomination. In an instant, the surrounding light dimmed. Though the sky was clear and the sun shone brightly, the entire forest seemed to drown in a deathly gray haze. Just as I thought. Yi Hao nodded. A domain. The dark demon evil god tiger was an exception. Most soul beasts only developed domains upon reaching the 100,000-year level. Yet this one had its own domain at just 60,000 years, proving its strength was on par with the sky azure bull python and titan giant ape. Yi Hao had to take this seriously. HMPH. He snorted coldly. You think you can out-darkness me? You're far from ready. The phantom of the death god materialized behind him as a black barrier rapidly expanded outward. The dark demon evil god tiger's domain crumbled instantly. Death god domain. A power Yi Hao had awakened upon becoming a title duo. The death god domain boosted his strength by 30%, while suppressing his opponents by 20% and halving their speed. Roar. The dark demon evil god tiger snarled, its crimson eyes blazing with predatory hunger. It lunged into the air, swinging a massive paw at Yi Hao. But Yi Hao only smiled eerily. Death god's heart, abyssal bind. In a flash, he hurled the death god's heart. Before the tiger could react, it was sucked inside, bound by 6 spectral chains that left it completely immobilized. The dark demon evil god tiger blinked in confusion. How did this human do that? A giant question mark seemed to float above its head. Yi Hao grinned. When I came to capture the sky azure bull python and titan giant ape, I forgot about you, but now's just as good. With my ascension nearing you. I'll leave you to Xiao Hong for training. No need to kill you, I'll save you for my future daughter. Dark demon evil god tiger, within a century of my godhood, I'll make sure you break through to the 100,000-year level. Putting away the bewildered dark demon evil god tiger, Yi Hao spread his 6-foot-wide purple light wings and soared into the sky, swiftly heading toward Sea God Island. 5 days later. Above the endless sea, Yi Hao's arms transformed into demonic scythes as he delivered a decisive slash to an isolated 50,000-year white demon sea lion. Instantly, the creature was split in two. Blood dyed the ocean red as Yi Hao gazed into the distance toward the demon whale sea. Glancing at the 50,000-year soul ring before him, he knew the final battle was imminent. With practiced ease, Yi Hao took out the death god's heart to conceal his aura. Then he sat cross-legged and, guided by his soul power, began absorbing the soul ring. The phantom of the soul-devouring spider emperor emerged behind him. Yi Hao was acquiring his 8th soul ring, and his 9th was waiting not far away. Inside the death god's heart. Well, well, if it isn't the dark demon evil god tiger, what, you got caught by our master too? Jair teased, looking at the restrained tiger with amusement. Having lived in the Star-Du Great Forest for 100,000 years, she naturally recognized this rare creature. Not bad for your level. To possess a domain at just 60,000 years. Impressive, Zhaju remarked playfully, recalling his own capture by Yi Hao years ago. Seeing the tiger's predicament gave him a strange sense of camaraderie. Dark demon evil god tiger. SHH, Zai Hu hushed them. Master is absorbing a soul ring, don't disturb him. Not long after Yihao left Spirit Hall, the three spiders, previously in deep slumber, had awakened. Within the death god's heart, their souls had recovered remarkably, growing even stronger than before. Now, with Yihao's ascension approaching, their resurrection drew nearer. Time passed minute by minute. Finally, the 8th black 10,000-year soul ring settled above the 7th. Yihao's aura stabilized, success. My soul power remains at rank 98. It seems I truly need the 999,000-year soul ring of the deep-sea demonic whale king to break through. Yihao sighed. That final step was proving frustratingly elusive. The deep-sea demonic whale king represented his last hope. "You're awake, how do you feel?" Yihao asked the two spiders gathered near the sulking tiger. "Fantastic. If possible, I'd willingly sacrifice myself again," Zhazhu joked. For most soul beasts, sacrifice meant death, but for him, it had been rebirth. The dark demon evil god tiger stared blankly, convinced this death spider emperor was an anomaly. Yihao chuckled, then crouched before the tiger, scrutinizing it intently. "Good, good, very good." He nodded approvingly, first inspecting the tiger's paws, then its torso, and finally giving its hindquarters an audacious pat. The tiger stiffened, baring its fangs in outrage, until Yihao flicked its forehead sharply. With a disgruntled huff, it submitted to the head rubs. "They say you should never touch a tiger's rear. Well, I just did." Smack, another pat to its backside. The tiger lowered its head, exuding gloom. Never in its life had it felt so humiliated. Yihao laughed heartily before vanishing outside. His gaze locked onto the demon whale sea, blazing with determination. "The time has come, deep-sea demonic whale king, let's dance." Meanwhile, on Sea God Island. After 7 or 8 days of seclusion, Tang San finally emerged. "My soul power has reached rank 80 at last," he rejoiced privately. Since arriving on Sea God Island, his cultivation had skyrocketed, an exhilarating sensation. "But first, I need an 8th soul ring. If I recall correctly, a 50,000-year toxic spined sea urchin lurks near the island's outskirts. You'll do." He dashed from his quarters toward the shoreline. Only by becoming a soul duo could he hope to withstand Bo Seixi's assault for the duration of a burning incense stick. Sea God Temple. Bo Seixi's eyes snapped open as she sensed the approaching disturbance near the demonic whale sea. Yihao has arrived, already a title duo, perhaps even matching my power. Tang San's doom approaches. Once Yihao eliminates him, Sea God Island shall seal itself for a century, reopening only after Yihao ascends. This was her ultimate decree. As a limit duo, she could afford to wait. Survival meant enduring until Yihao departed this world. Demon Whale Sea. The waters lay eerily still, like a dead zone. Clutching the Asura demon sword, Yihao stood upon the waves, crimson eyes piercing the depths where the deep-sea demonic whale king lurked, apparently forewarned of his arrival, as it refused to surface. "Yihao, deep-sea demonic whale king, face me." "Come out, your wife ran off with another whale." No response. Exasperated, Yihao abandoned diplomacy. He raised the Asura demon sword overhead, gathering swirling dark red energy into its blade. With a thunderous roar, he brought it down, splitting the sea itself to expose the cowering leviathan below. Chapter 273. Devour, the 99th level Spider Emperor Duo. The Asura demon sword cleaved through the sky, its sharp blade splitting the sea in two. In an instant, the ocean surged with towering waves reaching hundreds of meters high. The waters raged as if howling ghosts and gods had been unleashed. Yihao's single sword strike had thoroughly enraged the deep-sea demonic whale king. This humiliation was beyond endurance. This time, whether Xiao Hong was present or not, it was determined to kill Yihao. Nothing less would satisfy its burning hatred. "Human, you've crossed the line." The deep-sea demonic whale king breached the surface, its massive form dwarfing Yihao as it roared in fury. "Deep-sea demonic whale king, you finally showed yourself." Yihao gripped his sword single-handedly, his expression icy. Xiao Hong wasn't present this time. He stood alone against the enraged beast whose combat power now surpassed its usual limits. Having previously avoided confrontation, thanks to Xiao Hong's two decisive interventions that served as powerful deterrents. The deep-sea demonic whale king mistakenly believed Xiao Hong must be lurking nearby, waiting to strike when it emerged. "I'm not at my best today, let's postpone our duel." The memory of being clamped in Xiao Hong's jaws still terrified the beast. It turned to leave immediately. "Postpone," Yihao laughed coldly. "Why wait for another day when today is perfect?" He swung the Usura demon sword, releasing countless dark red sword energies that caught the deep-sea demonic whale king completely off guard. A titled Duluo. The whale king barely dodged, its single good eye widening in shock. "How have you progressed so rapidly? In mere years you've reached titled Duluo rank, with strength rivaling even Bo Saixi herself." Yihao smiled faintly as he landed lightly on the sea's surface, standing steadily atop the waves. "Progress is inevitable, deep-sea demonic whale king. You know why I'm here, to settle our unfinished business. That ambush you launched last time, and your attempt to devour me during our first encounter, these debts remain unpaid." Revealing his true capabilities, Yihao summoned the soul-devouring Spider Emperor. 8 soul rings ignited beneath his feet in sequence. Red, red, black, red, 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 black, black. "See this empty slot?" Yihao pointed at his 9th soul ring position with a cold smile. "I've reserved it especially for you. So you possess twin martial souls. That explains your unnatural growth rate." The deep-sea demonic whale king blinked its single functional eye warily. "But know this, neither Bo Saixi nor the sea god himself could destroy me. What makes you, a mere titled Duluo, believe you can succeed where gods failed? To claim me as your 9th soul ring? Aren't you afraid I'll drag us both to oblivion?" Yihao remained utterly unfazed. "Not in the slightest." His voice was calm as still waters. "You mentioned the sea god couldn't destroy you. Tell me then, how did you lose that eye?" The deep-sea demonic whale king erupted in fury. Yihao had struck its most sensitive nerve. That blinded eye represented its greatest humiliation. Though currently possessing power unrivaled among soul beasts, it remained confined to the sea, unable to ascend and challenge the gods directly. "You've signed your death warrant, human. Whether that dog is present or not, you die today." The beast's massive jaws gaped open, unleashing a devastating blue energy beam directly at Yihao. Martial soul fusion skill, Twin Spider Emperor. Yihao's shout summoned the phantom images of Zhezhu and Zheur behind him. Instantly, his power surged to demigod levels. Since Zhezhu and Zheur's sacrifice, Yihao could activate their fusion ability at will. "Your strength, how?" The deep-sea demonic whale king stared in disbelief, completely stunned by this development. "How?" Yihao gripped his sword with both hands, effortlessly bisecting the incoming energy beam. "All things are possible." Countless purple spider spikes materialized behind Yihao, blanketing the sky until even the clouds were obscured. "Deep-sea demonic whale king, I'm no longer the weakling you remember. Back then, I needed Xiao Hong's protection against you. Now I stand as your equal. Even without Xiao Hong here today, I will still claim your life." "Insolent whelp." The whale king's roar shook the seas. In its millennia of existence, no junior had ever dared such arrogance. 6th soul skill, blood-sucking spider thorns. Yihao's hand swept downward, unleashing a torrent of venomous spikes that rained upon the deep-sea demonic whale king. The massive beast proved cunning, swiftly diving into the ocean depths to use the water's resistance against the attack. Yet several thorns still found their mark, piercing deep into its flesh. "Poisoned by my Death Spider Emperor's venom, do you truly believe escape is possible?" Yihao smiled coldly as bullhorns sprouted from his forehead, the Sky Azure Bull Python's external soul bone. The sky darkened ominously as lightning gathered around the horns. Sky Azure Annihilation Thunder. Bolts of devastating lightning struck the sea, creating 100-meter waves crackling with electricity. Water conducts electricity perfectly, and this is the boundless ocean. How long can you hide, deep-sea demonic whale king? The sea boiled under the electrical onslaught, patches of red surfacing, the beast's blood. The demon whale sea's notoriety kept all other creatures away. leaving the Whale King completely isolated in its domain. Roar! The deep-sea demonic Whale King convulsed violently, its massive body entangled in crackling lightning. Though it had long begun its draconic transformation, it remained ultimately a soul beast, and soul beasts could never ascend to godhood. Human, you've awakened true fury. The Whale King's body suddenly vaporized, disappearing from view. In its place stood a 3-meter-tall humanoid figure with flowing blue hair, clad in seamless azure armor, stained with blood at the chest. Its cold eyes burned with killing intent as it strode across the bloodied waves toward Yihao. Behind it, a blue vortex rose, condensing into a fist-sized pearl embedded in its chest armor. Energy armor, just one step from godhood. Yihao observed coolly. Pity that soul beasts can never complete that step. The humanoid Whale King's shoulders bore gaping wounds from the spider spikes, blood flowing freely. If I devour you, that limitation disappears. It lunged with terrifying speed, like a living cannonball. Still dreaming of devouring me, let's test your capacity. Yihao met the charge head-on. Their collision created shockwaves that sent 1,000-meter waves radiating outward. The impact felt even on distant shores. At the sea god's shrine, Bo Saixi watched the distant battle with complex emotions. Yihao, you've actually reached this level. Your growth since we last met is inconceivable. I must accelerate Tang San's trials and expel him from the island. Once he departs, Sea God Island can seal itself for a century. Meanwhile, Tang San, preparing to absorb his 8th soul ring, sensed the terrifying battle energies. One aura felt familiar yet unplaceable. Both combatants possessed strength that could obliterate him with a casual gesture. After I absorb this soul ring and complete the Sea God's 6th trial, the deep-sea demonic Whale King is part of my 8th trial. Perfect, I'll kill it myself someday. Tang San's lack of soul bones made him desperate. The evil spirit orca king incident had left him seething at Yihao. Now he coveted the Whale King's power. Back in the demon whale sea, Yihao panted heavily. The deep-sea demonic Whale King truly lives up to its reputation. No wonder only the sea god's trident can subdue it. Die, human! The Whale King attacked relentlessly, but Yihao suddenly spread his arms and grappled the beast's waist. What trickery is this? Confusion turned to horror as spider spikes erupted from Yihao's back, impaling the Whale King. His arms transformed into piercing spider limbs, pinning the beast midair. Devouring you, of course. The soul-devouring Spider Emperor's thorns began draining the Whale King's life force and energy. Despite desperate struggles, the Death God Scythe and Usura Demon Sword pressed against its back, ready to deliver final judgment. I surrender, I yield. The deep-sea demonic Whale King roared in panic. Between us, there's only life or death. Yihao's voice was merciless. The beast's body suddenly swelled alarmingly, energy concentrating in its chest pearl which began cracking. You'd self-destruct. Yihao's death god's heart split into 6 mirrors, releasing soul-binding chains that immobilized the Whale King while accelerating the devouring process. The beast withered visibly, its self-destruction outpaced by Yihao's absorption. With a final sword strike, Yihao severed its head while the death god's scythe annihilated its soul completely. Examining the desiccated remains, Yihao smiled. Time to break through to level 99. The crimson gold soul ring and torso bone, his final soul bone, pulsed with immense power as he began absorption, the first step toward true godhood. Chapter 274, Yihao opens the path to godhood. The deep-sea demonic Whale King was dead. Yihao's 8th trial had concluded. The demon whale sea returned to calm. The dark clouds shrouding the sky dispersed as warm sunlight once again bathed the ocean's surface. Everything appeared unchanged, as if nothing had ever occurred. Within the death god's heart, Yihao sat cross-legged, the soul-devouring Spider Emperor's 9 soul rings glowing brightly, with the 9th golden ring particularly dazzling. Simultaneously, the deep-sea demonic Whale King's spine bone was being steadily absorbed in an orderly process. Having previously absorbed over 90% of the Whale King's power, Yihao had coincidentally broken through to level 99, becoming a limit duo. With the twin Spider Emperor fusion, Yihao's current strength had reached the half-god level, matching DOLOU and Bo-Saxi. The deep-sea demonic whale king had existed for countless years, accumulating tremendous power that now served as a veritable treasure trove for Yihao. Absorbing the whale king's soul ring, soul bone, and stolen energy required careful digestion. It would likely take 2 or 3 days before Yihao awakened. At the sea god shrine, Bo-Saxi remained silent for a long time, too shocked to speak. Yihao had actually slain the deep-sea demonic whale king. As a limit DOLOU herself, she clearly perceived everything that had transpired in the distant demon whale sea. What a monstrous talent! Bo-Saxi shook her head with a bitter smile. The new generation surpassed the old. Each era produced greater talents than the last. This won't do. We must accelerate Tang San's 6th trial. Given Yihao's current state, after absorbing the whale king's soul ring and bone, he'll likely attempt to break through to level 100. If Yihao truly becomes a god, then Sea God Island will. Bo-Saxi couldn't help but worry. Gods were beyond mortal opposition. For Sea God Island's sake, she needed to give Tang San special treatment and expedite his departure. Early next morning, Tang San returned after absorbing his 8th soul ring, reaching level 82. This significantly boosted his confidence for the 6th trial. That day, Bo-Saxi unexpectedly visited. Tang San was startled. Besides their first meeting when she delivered the god-bestowed soul ring, Bo-Saxi had always remained aloof in the sea god shrine. Her sudden appearance must relate to the 6th trial. Begin the sea god's 6th trial, Bo-Saxi stated bluntly. Tang San hesitated slightly. Senior Bo-Saxi, isn't this too rushed? I've just obtained my 8th soul ring. Shouldn't I stabilize my soul power first before? The time is now. Bo-Saxi's expression remained impassive. I'll go easy on you. Hearing this, Tang San secretly sighed in relief. However, he didn't let his guard down. His opponent was none other than sea god DOLOU Bo-Saxi, a level 99 limit DOLOU far beyond his capabilities as a mere soul DOLOU. The battlefield was set at Sea God Mountain's base. Bo-Saxi stood on the steps holding her staff, appearing completely indifferent toward Tang San. Currently, expediting Tang San's departure was the top priority. Once Yihao became a god, it would be too late. Senior Bo-Saxi, I'm ready, Tang San announced. Good, Bo-Saxi nodded expressionlessly and waved her staff. A sand timer materialized in an open area at the mountain's base. When the sand runs out, the trial concludes. According to regulations, I cannot use my martial soul's true form, only the first 6 soul skills, and cannot harness the sea's power. Tang San was secretly delighted. With these restrictions, his chances of passing increased significantly. Begin. As Bo-Saxi spoke, the sea god's phantom slowly materialized behind her, holding the divine trident. 9 soul rings appeared at her feet. 8 black and 1 red. Before Bo-Saxi even made a move, just her aura alone overwhelmed Tang San. Clenching his fists, he realized he needed godhood to surpass Yihao. Tang San's 8 soul rings glowed, as blue-silver grass sprouted from his palms. Before he could act, Bo-Saxi lightly raised her hand. An invisible pressure crushed Tang San to the ground, rendering him immobile. Why? Tang San gritted his teeth. Each time he nearly rose, another bone would fracture. Tang San, is this all you're capable of? Bo-Saxi spoke coldly, her eyes filled with disdain. She hadn't even used a soul skill yet. If she had, Tang San would likely be half dead. Damn it, Tang San's face contorted in pain. The pressure felt like an entire mountain. At this rate, he'd surely fail. Moreover, during their first meeting after receiving the sea god's trials, Tang San had clearly sensed killing intent from Bo-Saxi. That feeling couldn't be mistaken. Tang San couldn't afford to die here, not when his enemies still lived. How amusing! Bo-Saxi increased the pressure, clenching her right fist. Instantly, Tang San's face turned purple as his bones crackled under the strain. Aza! Tang San's agonized screams echoed across the mountain. At Sea God Mountain's peak, Tang San was dragged away like a dead dog, most of his bones shattered. The gap in soul power was simply too vast, and Tang San lacked any soul bones, making him easy prey for Bo Saixi. How disappointing! Bo Saixi shook her head in dismay. Was this all he could manage? Another day passed. At the demon whale sea, where the deep-sea demonic whale king had perished, the death god's heart remained concealed as Yihao absorbed the whale king's tremendous power. Yihao exhaled deeply, opening his eyes with a sense of relief. Persistence pays off. Having fully absorbed the deep-sea demonic whale king's soul ring and bone, my soul power has stabilized at level 99, reaching the half-god level. This sea voyage was truly worthwhile. Shortly after completing the absorption, a long-absent voice echoed in Yihao's ears. Death God and Asura's 8th trial, collect all soul rings and bones. Intercept the deep-sea demonic whale king. Trial complete. Reward, 30% Death God and Asura affinity. Total affinity, 105%. The voice faded. Yihao's forehead shimmered as the Death God and Asura seals flickered intermittently. He understood the final step had arrived. However, Yihao wouldn't rush toward the 9th trial and godhood just yet. Instead, he turned toward Sea God Island. Before ascending, he needed to eliminate Tang San, the lingering threat. Only then could Yihao truly ascend with peace of mind. On Sea God Island. Thanks to the Sea God's light, Tang San's broken bones had mostly healed. With Bo Saixi having held back, he recovered fully within days. I passed the 6th trial. Tang San was baffled. He hadn't lasted half the time limit against Bo Saixi, being effortlessly subdued almost immediately. How could he have passed? This was Tang San's greatest confusion. "You're awake, the High Priest summons you," a purple-clad man announced upon entering. "High Priest wants to see me," Tang San rose. "For what purpose?" "That's not for me to know, just come with me." Seeing the man's ignorance, Tang San followed silently to Sea God Mountain. Inside the Sea God Shrine, Bo Saixi awaited. This was Tang San's first proper visit to the magnificent shrine. Facing Bo Saixi directly, an inexplicable dread welled within him. "Senior Bo Saixi," Tang San greeted simply. "You must have many questions," Bo Saixi stated. "Yes, why did I pass the 6th trial? I clearly didn't last the required time. Everything here has become so." Tang San trailed off, unable to articulate his confusion about the island's inexplicable occurrences. "The Sea God decreed it. We merely follow his will," Bo Saixi explained. "Tang San, as the Sea God's heir, you will inevitably inherit his divinity. Currently, the continent is in turmoil. The Spirit Hall's Spirit Empire wages war against Star Luo Empire, which suffers repeated defeats. Once the Spirit Empire unifies the continent, Sea God Island will face catastrophe. Thus, the Sea God ordered us to lower your trial difficulty, hastening your ascension. Only this can preserve our island's peace. Do you understand?" Tang San suddenly comprehended. The continent's situation had grown dire. The Spirit Hall's rise threatened the balance between land and sea, a balance whose collapse would affect more than just the continent. "I understand," Tang San nodded gravely. Earlier, he'd learned his 7th trial's objective, to pull out the Sea God's trident. "Senior, did you summon me regarding the 7th trial?" Tang San ventured. "Correct," Bo Saixi sighed inwardly. They'd finally reached this stage. The first 6 trials were mere formalities. The true divine trials begin with the 7th. Bo Saixi tapped her golden staff, revealing an object on the circular platform behind her. A vertically embedded black rod. Tang San approached, sensing its extraordinary nature. "Senior, is this?" Bo Saixi nodded. "The Sea God's trident, his lifelong divine weapon. Your trial is to extract it. Only then will you truly become his heir." With that, Bo Saixi stepped back, allowing Tang San to proceed. Watching Tang San's eager back, Bo Saixi clenched her fist excitedly. Soon, very soon, he would leave the island. Several miles from Sea God Island, on a remote islet, Yihao arrived to establish a foothold. Ordinary people couldn't approach Sea God Island. He needed to wait here patiently. Once Tang San completed the first 7 trials and emerged, that would mark his true demise. This was the agreement between Yihao and Bo Saixi. Suddenly, an intense energy fluctuation radiated from the island. Yihao immediately noticed, glancing toward Sea God Island with understanding. Tang San is extracting the sea god's trident? No, this doesn't feel like a divine weapon's aura. Yihao distinctly sensed this resonance resembled when he'd drawn the death god's scythe, yet something felt off. How to describe it? The sea god's trident seemed fake. That was Yihao's conclusion. While such reactions were expected when extracting a divine weapon, everything was proceeding too smoothly. The reasons remained unclear to Yihao. The time has come, I must prepare to greet my old friend. Yihao stretched and gazed at Sea God Island. Tang San, our feud ends today. Ahem. Yihao suddenly shuddered. Inside the sea god shrine, Tang San's hands tightly gripped the sea god's trident. His face flushed red with exertion. The trident weighed 108,000 jin, an immensely powerful divine weapon capable of controlling the seas, much like Yihao's death god's scythe. Only the true heir could extract it. Rise! Tang San roared, his 8 soul rings flashing. He even activated his martial soul's true form for this endeavor. Yet the sea god's trident remained immovable, as if rooted to the ground. Meanwhile, above Spirit Hall on the continent, dark clouds gathered ominously, with violet lightning striking the Pope's Hall, damaging several structures. The Spirit Hall, perpetually bathed in light, had never witnessed such phenomena. It's raining. Kayan Kityu in her golden floral dress looked up at the gloomy, thunderous sky, showing no signs of rain. It's her, your grandmother is ascending to godhood, Xiao Hong explained as he approached. Among the three, Bibai Dong was the first to take this step. The Rakshasa god's evil aura roiled as purple light engulfed the sky, creating an apocalyptic scene. Godhood, what's that? Kayan Kityu tilted her head, the concept entirely foreign to the child. Chapter 275. Bibai Dong ascends to godhood, the Rakshasa god. Becoming a god means... Xiao Hong thought for a moment, trying to explain in the simplest terms for the little princess. It means becoming incredibly, incredibly powerful. No one on the continent will be your match. Powerful? Kayan Kityu tilted her small head curiously. How powerful? More powerful than you, doggy. Xiao Hong was momentarily taken aback, his old face turning slightly red as his mouth stretched into a grin reaching his ears. Of course, Xiao Hong laughed proudly. Kityu, do you want to become a god? Do you want to be worshipped by thousands? Yes, the little girl's innocent voice rang out cheerfully. Meanwhile, deep within the Spirit Hall's secret chamber, Bibai Dong radiated an eerie aura, her face contorted in a grimace. She wore a set of purple divine armor shrouded in malevolent violet energy, with 4 massive scythes extending from each side of her back. Ha ha ha, Bibai Dong spread her arms and laughed wildly. After so many years of effort, I've finally reached this day. The Rakshasa god descends, ruling supreme over all. Bursting out of the chamber, Bibai Dong in her Rakshasa god attire appeared terrifyingly ferocious. A wave of evil energy shot into the sky, threatening to plunge the entire Spirit Hall into endless darkness. At that moment, from behind the Elder Hall, a golden 6-winged angel gently flapped its wings, scattering flecks of golden light that gradually dispelled the darkness enveloping the Spirit Hall, restoring light. Hovering in midair, Bibai Dong closed her eyes in serene satisfaction. Breaking through level 100 and attaining Rakshasa, godhood granted her unstoppable, invincible power that intoxicated her. After all these years, I've finally succeeded, Bibai Dong murmured to herself. I wonder how Hayar is doing. Having been in seclusion for so long, what's the current state of our empire? Grandma, a clear childish voice suddenly reached Bibai Dong's ears. AI, the stern-faced Bibai Dong instantly transformed, retracting her Rakshasa god armor and suppressing all evil aura, reverting to her elegant, dignified empress appearance. Landing gently, she embraced the running Kayan Kityu, holding her lovingly. Did you miss Grandma during her long seclusion? Bibai Dong smiled affectionately, all traces of her earlier ferocity gone. Yes, Kayan Kityu buried her face in Bibai Dong's embrace, tears rolling down her cheeks. Why are you crying, my dear? Bibidong patted the girl's back tenderly. Did someone bully you? Tell Grandma and I'll make them pay. As she spoke, an icy aura emanated from Bibidong, spreading in all directions. Even titled Duluos trembled in fear, knowing Bibidong could obliterate them with a mere thought. Kid, you just missed you all too much, Xiao Hong explained. You were in seclusion breaking through level 100, while Kyan Daelu and her mother are undergoing the angel trials. What about Hayar, where is he? Bibidong frowned. At Sea God Island, hunting the deep-sea demonic whale king. I sensed recently that he's already killed it. It won't be long before he ascends too. Currently, he's outside Sea God Island waiting to kill Tang San before returning as a god. Xiao Hong paused before continuing. I've been taking care of Kiyu these days. With none of her elders around, the little girl missed you terribly. That's why she cried upon seeing you. I see, Bibidong suddenly understood, hugging her granddaughter tighter. How does godhood feel? Xiao Hong asked with interest, raising an eyebrow. It feels immensely more powerful than before. As if with a mere gesture, I could grasp the entire continent in my hand. Having become the Rakshasa god, Bibidong immediately released her divine consciousness. Every matter within Spirit Hall, big or small, couldn't escape her perception, as if she alone was supreme. Now that you've become the Rakshasa god, I can finally take a break from babysitting. Xiao Hong's face fell. Childcare was such a tedious chore. With that, Xiao Hong vanished in a flash, not even giving Bibidong time to react. Grandma, where did Doggy go? Kyan Kityu looked around but saw no trace of Xiao Hong. He went to handle his own matters. Come, Grandma will play with you. Bibidong smiled warmly before disappearing with the girl. Inside the elder hall. The commotion of Bibidong's ascension naturally didn't escape Kyan Daelyu's notice. He couldn't help but feel envious. Alas, given his unique circumstances, breaking through level 100 might be impossible. Kyan Daelyu sighed to himself. But upon reflection, it wasn't so bad. Once his granddaughter became a god, he would sacrifice himself, then Yi Hao would resurrect him. No real loss there. Kyan Daelyu's gaze fell upon his granddaughter undergoing the angel trials, and his heart felt somewhat at ease. As the saying goes, two tigers cannot share one mountain. The war between Star Luo Empire and Spirit Empire intensified. Spirit Empire had dispatched numerous titled Duluo elders to the front lines. Recent reports indicated their forces were approaching the Star Luo capital. Capturing the capital would mean the end of Star Luo Empire. In Spirit Hall's dungeons, Dai Mubai sat disheveled, his face covered in a golden beard, a far cry from his former handsome appearance. The Star Luo crown prince seemed to have vanished from the world. Despite days passing, no rescue came from Star Luo. Worse, he'd heard Spirit Hall members say Star Luo had already appointed a new crown prince, Dai Weisi. This shattered Dai Mubai's spirit. The replacement meant his own country had abandoned him. On the battlefield, when Spirit Empire presented evidence of capturing the Star Luo crown prince, soldier morale plummeted, leading to complete rout. This was the real reason for the change in succession. Each day felt like a year to Dai Mubai, as he gazed longingly through the prison bars at the outside world. Boss Dai, will we ever get out? A gaunt, ragged Ma Hongjun asked weakly. He'd lost significant weight during their dark, endless imprisonment. Though they lacked for no sustenance, for Ma Hongjun, this was worse than death. Don't worry, I believe in Star Luo Empire. I believe in Father, they'll rescue us. Dai Mubai smoothed his unkempt beard with determination. Damn Oscar, living the good life while we rot here. Did you hear? He married Ning Rongrong recently, with Spirit Hall hosting the wedding. Ma Hongjun fumed at the injustice. Abandoning brothers for a woman. Sigh, Dai Mubai sighed. How cunning of Spirit Hall, using Ning Rongrong to bind Oscar to them. With his talent and now this marriage? Tusk tusk. What a waste of potential. The two brothers stared silently through the barred window above. Meanwhile, on Sea God Island. Inside the Sea God Shrine. Tang San clung desperately to the Sea God's trident, his entire body pressed against it, teeth gritted and eyes bloodshot from exertion. Damn it, why is this trident so heavy? My soul power is draining fast. At this rate, I'll never pass this trial. Tang San thought anxiously, deeply confused. Earlier, Bo Saixi had said the trident weighed 108,000 jin, only movable by the sea god or his true heir. So what did that make him? After struggling so long without budging it, Tang San began doubting his legitimacy as the sea god's heir. Standing nearby, Bo Saixi appeared calm but was secretly delighted. This wasn't the real sea god's trident, but a fake specially crafted by the sea god for this false heir. After abandoning Tang San, the sea god had lowered trial difficulty and stopped granting him affinity, hence Tang San's lack of gains after completing trials. Naturally, the real trident wasn't for Tang San to touch. Thus, to expedite his departure, the sea god created this imitation, weighing a mere 18,000 jin as a token gesture. Watching Tang San struggle even with this lightweight fake, Bo Saixi sighed inwardly. Can't even handle 18,000 jin? The real one weighs 108,000. Is Tang San that weak? She couldn't help but wonder. On a small island near Sea God Island, Yihao built a campfire, grilling freshly caught lobsters and fish over the flames, their aroma carrying far across the sea. Took him long enough, how hard is it to pull out a fork? Yihao complained while peeling a lobster shell to reveal succulent meat. That earlier disturbance must have been Mom becoming the Raksasha god. Had I pursued the 9th trial immediately after killing the Whale King, I might have become a god by now too. After swallowing the lobster, he sighed. Forget it. Kill Tang San first, then ascend. Until he's dead, I won't have peace. Morning passed into noon under the blazing sun as Yihao enjoyed a rare beachside nap. Suddenly, he sat up, sensing activity from Sea God Island. A smile crept across his face. Finally pulled out the trident, took him long enough. After 7 trials, Tang San can leave the island. Time to prepare. Yihao sprang up, making meticulous preparations for the kill. This time, 1 strike 1 kill. Inside the Sea God Shrine, Bo Saixi rubbed her sleepy eyes. She'd actually dozed off waiting. Tang San's trident pulling was absurdly slow. Senior Bo Saixi, I succeeded. Tang San held the sea god's trident, drenched in sweat but triumphant. Bo Saixi nodded indifferently. Having extracted the trident, you may now leave Sea God Island. The Sea God trials allow heirs to depart after 7 trials. Return when you've reached titled Duluo rank and collected all soul rings and bones. Yes, clutching the trident, Tang San was elated. After so long, he could finally return to the mainland. His first order of business: revenge on Spirit Hall, destroying dozens of branch halls and eliminating all Spirit Empire collaborators. With the trident obtained, Tang San would depart tomorrow. After he left, Bo Saixi immediately summoned the 6 sacred pillar Duluos to discuss sealing the island. That night under a starry sky, Tang San practiced swinging his sea god's trident on the beach. Such incredible power. With this, I'll have my vengeance on Spirit Empire and Yihao, he gritted his teeth. Just wait, I'll turn the continent upside down. All who look down on me will pay. Next morning, Bo Saixi and the 6 sacred pillar Duluos escorted Tang San to the shore. Farewell, Tang San, Bo Saixi waved as the others forced smiles. Holding his trident, Tang San bid them goodbye before boarding a small boat provided by Sea God Island, slowly rowing toward the mainland. Once he was out of sight, a blue light flashed, Sea God Island vanished. Rubbing his eyes in disbelief on the deck, Tang San saw only empty ocean where the island had been. Where's Sea God Island? How did it disappear? Suddenly, the sea erupted in turmoil as dark clouds blotted out the sun. What's happening? Tang San steadied himself against the rocking boat, bewildered by these unnatural phenomena. Then spiders, countless spiders of all sizes, began crawling onto the deck, bearing fangs at him. Tricks and illusions, Tang San slashed at the spiders with his trident. Who's there? Show yourself. Chapter 276, Tang San's death approaches. Complete darkness enveloped the surroundings, so thick that Tang San couldn't see his own hand before his face. The air was filled with dark red mist as his small boat drifted aimlessly through the void like a ghost ship. The deck was overrun with demonic spiders of various sizes, their razor-sharp fangs bared as they launched relentless attacks against Tang San. "Damn it, who's behind this?" Tang San cursed inwardly while swinging his sea god's trident, cleaving through the spiders with each strike. Yet the spiders seemed endless. For everyone he killed, 2 more took its place, covering 99% of the deck. Standing in the only clear space surrounded by spider corpses, Tang San felt his scalp tingle with dread. "Whose sick joke is this? When I find you, death will be too good for you." His eyes bloodshot with rage, Tang San activated his blue-silver grass martial soul. 8 soul rings appeared as countless blue-silver vines erupted, sweeping the spiders from the deck. Soon, the deck was mostly cleared. "Pant, pant, who's there?" Tang San gasped for breath. Since leaving Sea God Island, inexplicable events had plagued him. This ominous beginning boded ill. Deciding to turn back to Sea God Island and postpone his return to the mainland, Tang San found himself lost in the dark Red Sea, his boat drifting aimlessly like a demon wandering the night. The disappearance of Sea God Island, these strange spiders. Tang San frowned. Someone must be behind this, perhaps even trying to kill me. But who? Spiders, spiders. Tang San's pupils suddenly contracted. Yi, could it be Yi Hao? As he spoke, the boat suddenly ran aground. Tang San staggered, nearly falling onto the deck. An unknown island. Stepping onto the unfamiliar shore in this darkness, Tang San remained hypervigilant. Gripping his sea god's trident, he cautiously advanced, taking no chances. Meanwhile, thousands of miles away on the DOLOU continent, the final battle between the Star Luo Empire and Spirit Empire raged just 20 miles from the Star Luo capital. Both sides had amassed over 1 million troops. This battle would determine whether Star Luo survived or Spirit Empire unified the continent. On Star Luo's city walls, a cold wind whipped the banners as soldiers stood at attention, spears ready to repel invaders. "Father, how should we counter Spirit Empire's advance?" Dai Weisi asked grimly, noting the army's low morale as enemies approached. Sighing, the Star Luo Emperor said, "Spirit Empire has deployed at least 5 titled Duluos. Recent reports mention darkness engulfing their territory that shook the entire continent. I fear ominous events are unfolding." The disturbance from Bibai Dong's godhood ascension had been detected even at Sea God Island, which had immediately sealed itself after Tang San's departure, proof of a god's terrifying power. "My son Mubai, his fate seems sealed." At the Spirit Empire camp, soldiers efficiently erected tents while Soul Masters maintained perimeter security, with aerial scouts constantly monitoring. Spirit Empire's advantage in Soul Masters was decisive. With the top 3 sects destroyed and the lower 4 under their control, Star Luo's fall was inevitable. "Everyone, Her Majesty has achieved godhood and will soon arrive at the front lines," Zhu Guan announced. "When she does, Star Luo will surely fall." This news bolstered morale. A level 100 god, the stuff of legends after 10,000 years without one. With Bibai Dong's imminent arrival, they simply needed to maintain their advantage until then. Back on the unnamed island, Tang San gritted his teeth against the endless spider onslaught, his sea god's trident never resting. "Where are all these damn spiders coming from? I've never seen anything like this." Hidden within the death god's heart in the darkness, Yi Hao smiled. "My soul-devouring spider emperor's first spirit skill, spider summoning. Endless, inexhaustible. Tang San, I'll take my time tormenting you until death seems merciful." After what felt like an eternity, a drenched and exhausted Tang San knelt amidst piles of spider corpses, his scalp crawling at the sight. All these spiders had coordinated to target only him with unprecedented ferocity. Without the trident, he'd have been overwhelmed. I must leave this cursed island before more come." But when he reached the shore, Tang San froze in horror. His boat had been completely devoured by spiders, leaving only shattered planks floating on the water. Trembling with rage, Tang San's chest heaved violently. "Yi Hao, is this you? Come out and face me. Hiding in the shadows is cowardly." Tang San had reached his breaking point. "Of course it's me." Yi Hao's voice echoed before he materialized before Tang San. Long time no see, Tang San, Yi Hao waved casually. Seeing his nemesis, Tang San's eyes burned crimson. He leapt forward, sea god's trident raised to strike. Straight to violence, I'm flattered. Yi Hao stood motionless, catching the trident with one hand. So this is the sea god's trident. With a kick, Yi Hao sent Tang San flying, then examined the weapon. Swinging it lightly, he noted its surprising lightness, far from the legendary 108,000 jin weight. Yi Hao, return my trident, Tang San shrieked, his greatest advantage now in enemy hands. After careful inspection, Yi Hao shook his head. Tang San, this trident is fake. With a vicious grip, Yi Hao shattered the weapon before Tang San's disbelieving eyes, reducing it to golden dust. I am impossible, Tang San's eyes bulged. The sea god's divine weapon, destroyed so easily. Sea god's trident, what a joke, Yi Hao sneered. Enraged, Tang San summoned his clear sky hammer with 2 yellow and 2 purple rings. The hammer enlarged as he swung with all his might. Pathetic, Yi Hao caught the hammer barehanded and crushed it effortlessly. Retreating in terror, Tang San suddenly spat blood, but instead of red, the droplets turned transparent. Tang Sek's ultimate hidden weapon, Guanian's tears. Unfazed, Yi Hao drew the Usura demon sword. As Tang San prepared his attack, Yi Hao's blade flashed, splitting the darkness itself. Ah! Tang San screamed as his right arm was severed at the elbow, the attack dissipating harmlessly. Guanian's tears, now you'll be the one crying. Yi Hao's next strike vaporized the fallen limb. Yi Hao, I'll never forgive you, not even as a ghost. Tang San howled, his future as a soul master now hopeless without regeneration abilities. A ghost? Yi Hao chuckled. I'm the death god's successor. After killing you, I'll ensure you don't even get to be a ghost. Complete annihilation. Eternal damnation is my gift to you. Eternal damnation? Tang San trembled violently. He understood the horror of true oblivion. You can't, I'm the sea god's heir, he'll punish you. Tang San pleaded, desperately hoping for divine intervention that never came. Yi Hao stepped closer. You've been abandoned, Tang San. Think, did you receive any sea god's light or affinity after your trials? The truth struck Tang San like a hammer blow. He'd received nothing. The trident was proof enough. The real one weighs 108,000 jin. Yours was a counterfeit decent by mortal standards, but still fake. Lies, Tang San spat. I am the sea god's heir, in a few years I'll. Enough, Yi Hao interrupted. The sea god abandoned you. The trials were fake, the trident fake, your entire inheritance is a sham. Releasing his death spider emperor martial soul, 9 soul rings appeared. Yellow, purple, purple, black, black, red, 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 red. 4 100,000-year rings. Then switching to his soul, devouring spider emperor. Red, red, black, red, 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 black, black, crimson, gold. 5 more 100,000-year rings. Tang San nearly bit through his teeth in envy, his face contorting grotesquely. Why? His anguished screams echoed across the island. Yi Hao smiled coldly. Your clear sky hammer is ruined too. Adding rings prematurely was idiotic. With patience, you could have had all 10,000-year rings or better. But no, you followed your worthless teacher's 400-year limit theory. Pity. Don't insult my teacher, Tang San raged. A joke, you once wanted to kill Jade Xiaoging yourself. Would he rise from the grave if he knew? Tang San shook with incoherent rage, his slaughter domain flaring wildly. No more talk. Yi Hao raised his sword. Today you die, Tang San. No reincarnation, no afterlife, just eternal nothingness for an outsider like you. No, Tang San begged, finally understanding his doom was at hand. Chapter 277. Tang San's Fall, Dual Godhood, Yi Hao's Ascension. Tang San, my soul-devouring Spider Emperor's 9th soul ring comes from the deep-sea demonic whale king? Yes, the same one from your sea god's 8th trial. Yi Hao's words cut deep like knives into Tang San's heart. Tang San clenched his fists so tightly they turned white, glaring at Yi Hao in silent fury. If looks could kill, Yi Hao would have died 1,000 deaths already. Yi Hao, if I survive today, I swear I'll kill you with my own hands. You've taken everything from me, the demon soul great white shark king, the deep-sea demonic whale king, everything. You deserve death, I'll kill you. Tang San's entire body trembled with rage, his hatred transcending time itself. You have no tomorrow, Yihao's voice was icy. From this moment on, there will be no Tang San of Tang Sect, no Tang San of DOLOU continent. I'll ensure you die without even a grave. Raising the Asura demon sword, its dark red blade gleamed as a sword light illuminated Tang San's body. The glow revealed Tang San's ashen face, his eyes losing focus as cold sweat drenched his back. No, 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 no. 3 desperate denials revealed Tang San's panic. Yihao was determined. Lifting the Asura demon sword high, a dark red sword light split the heavens as it descended toward Tang San's head. Yihao, you can't kill me, Tang San screamed, his legs shaking uncontrollably. Facing true death, all his usual composure vanished, replaced by sheer terror. He knew escape was impossible. As a former Tang sect disciple, who had once jumped from ghost-dreaded peak, he'd never felt such heart-pounding fear as when watching that sword descend. No, I won't die. Tang San's eyes burned red as he activated his blue-silver grass, his 7th and 8th soul rings flashing. 7th soul skill, blue-silver true body. 8th soul skill, blue-silver absolute defense. Transforming into a massive blue-silver grass, golden light erupted from the plant under his 8th soul skill, forming an impenetrable dome above him. Yihao, you can't kill me. My 8th soul skill blocks all attacks. As long as I live, I'll have my revenge. Tang San's desperate shouts masked his hope to escape and plot future vengeance. How pathetic, Yihao's response was dismissive. The Asura demon's sword fell, slicing through Tang San's barrier like paper. What? Impossible. Tang San gaped as his ultimate defense shattered effortlessly. The sword descended. Head separated from body. Tang San's headless corpse twitched stubbornly before finally lying still. His wide-eyed head stared at Yihao with eternal resentment. Still staring, Yihao frowned and swung again, reducing both body and head to ashes that scattered on the wind. It's over, but not quite. Sheathing the Asura demon sword, Yihao summoned the death god's scythe as the sickle mark glowed on his forehead. He threw the scythe toward where Tang San's remains had vanished. Got you, Yihao smiled, pulling the scythe back with soul power. Tang San's confused soul clung to the blade, his face a mask of terror. Yihao, I'm already dead. Won't you spare me even now? Yihao chuckled. They say raising a tiger invites calamity. You're that tiger. If I'm not thorough today, you'll become tomorrow's disaster. No, I'm dead. I can't threaten you anymore. Please show mercy. I'll never oppose you. Tang San begged as he felt the scythe absorbing his soul. That's not certain. Yihao raised the death god's scythe toward the trapped spirit. First you were Tang San of Tang Sect, then Tang San of DOLOU continent. Who knows where you might appear next? I can't allow that. So, rest in peace. With a final swing, Tang San's spirit split in two. The scythe's power dissolved his soul completely. For good measure, Yihao struck several more times, ensuring absolute annihilation. Enough already, he's completely gone with no chance of revival. Now hurry up and ascend. The death god's impatient voice echoed in Yihao's mind. Just being thorough, caution never hurts. Yihao took a deep breath. With Tang San gone, his greatest obstacle was removed. The path to godhood lay open. Having completed the death god and Asura's 8th trials, Yihao decided to undergo the 9th trial here. Placing the death god's scythe at the island's center, the surroundings transformed dramatically. Darkness enveloped everything as Yihao prepared for ascension. Next, he planted the Asura demon sword beside the scythe. Sitting between the two divine weapons, the death god's temple materialized behind him as the sickle and sword marks on his forehead flickered. Ascension time, dual godhood, death god and Asura god, here I come. Entering the temple, Yihao found both gods waiting. Death god, Asura god, why are you here? Yihao asked. The death god grinned. I'm about to be free. I mean, you're inheriting my position. Of course I'd come personally. Right, Asura? Asura god nodded. Absolutely. Dual godhood is unprecedented in the divine realm. We couldn't wait. I mean, we're excited to witness it. Yihao nearly laughed at their terrible acting. Clearly desperate to retire, they couldn't even lie convincingly. Let's begin. The death god coughed, breaking the awkwardness. As both gods began fading, the death god's scythe and Asura demon sword flew into the temple, orbiting Yi Hao while radiating distinct auras. Death god and Asura's ninth trial, divine succession, dual godhood begins now. A majestic voice filled the temple as a dark red pillar shot skyward, staining the heavens. Though midday, the world turned dark. On the secluded sea god island, Bo Saixi gazed at the darkened sky with complex emotions. So it's come to this, Yi Hao ascends to dual godhood, sigh. Though envious, she knew her role as sea god's attendant barred her from such glory. Meanwhile, at Spirit Hall, the newly ascended Raksasha god Bibai Dong paused before departing for the front lines, sensing the tremendous energy from the sea. You feel it too, she looked toward the ocean. Xiao Hong grinned. Yes, the kid's completed his trials, he's ascending now. Wonderful, with Hayar's ascension, only Zuer remains. Bibai Dong smiled, knowing her divine intervention would ensure Spirit Empire's victory. Guard the Spirit Hall well, I'm off. With that, she vanished. Come back soon. Xiao Hong waved a paw cheerfully, humming as it walked away in excellent spirits. On the isolated island, darkness reigned supreme as the death god's temple stood at its center. Yi Hao's soul bones glowed brilliantly before detaching from his body. First, the blue-silver emperor right leg bone and Titan giant ape left leg bone flew upward, transformed by the dark red light into armored greaves before returning to Yi Hao's legs. Next came the Death Spider Emperor and soul-devouring Spider Emperor arm bones, similarly reforged into vambraces. Finally, the torso and head bones became breastplate and helmet. All 6 soul bones had evolved into the Death God and Asura's divine armor. Yi Hao's 6-foot purple light wings transformed into dark red death wings capable of circling the planet in a single flap. The Ascension's energy churned the sea for miles, sending 100-meter waves crashing as marine soul beasts fled in terror. Sitting cross-legged, Yi Hao smiled as he felt his body undergoing divine metamorphosis. Grasping the death god's scythe, he heard an internal crack as his soul power broke through to level 100. Death god and Asura's 9th trial complete, all soul rings increased by 50,000 years each. The dual inheritance meant every ring gained a total of 100,000 years. Now displaying 10 soul rings per martial soul. Death Spider Emperor. 9 red, 1 red gold. Soul-devouring Spider Emperor. 8 red, 1 dark crimson gold, 1 dark gold. 20 dazzling soul rings marked Yi Hao's arrival at the world's pinnacle. He could feel time's flow with each breath. Finally, Yi Hao pointed, summoning 3 figures from the death god's heart, Zhu Zhu, Zhar, and Zaihu. Keeping his promise, Yi Hao used divine power to resurrect them as true humans rather than soul beasts. We're alive, Zhu Zhu marveled at his new human form and 99th level power. The others shared his awe. Thank you, Master, they bowed deeply. Yi Hao helped them up. You've earned this, now let's go home. Exiting the temple, Yi Hao dispelled the darkness with a wave, restoring sunlight. One step took him to see God Mountain. Senior Bo Saixi, his sudden voice startled her. When did you arrive? She frowned at the now divine Yi Hao. Just now, Yi Hao smiled reassuringly. Why have you come? Sea God Island is sealed for a century. In response, Yi Hao produced the seahorse Duluo's soul. I had no choice killing him before. Now as a god, I'll restore him. From today, let there be peace between Spirit Empire and Sea God Island. Chapter 278, Unification of Duluo Continent. Yi Hao didn't cause trouble for Sea God Island. Instead, he resurrected the seahorse Duluo right before Bo Saixi's eyes. Senior Bo Saixi, this is farewell. After reviving the seahorse Duluo, Yi Hao cupped his hands and departed. He understood that Sea God Island would remain sealed for a century. By then, Yi Hao would have ascended, leaving Duluo Continent without gods. Only then would Sea God Island re-emerge. For the sake of Sea God Island, Bo Saixi had no choice. Grand Priestess, didn't I die? The newly resurrected seahorse Duluo was still disoriented. He clearly remembered being killed by Yi Hao, so how was he standing here unharmed? Welcome back, Ouya, Bo Saixi smiled. Go and reunite with Sea Dragon and the others. They've been worried about you. The seahorse Duluo hesitated, unsure of the situation. Though confused about his resurrection, he was grateful to be alive. He convinced himself it must have been the sea god's doing. Yes, it had to be. The sea god had blessed him. As the seahorse Duluo left, Bo Saixi stood silently for a long time before sighing and entering the sea god's temple alone. A century would pass in the blink of an eye. How many would still be alive by then? The world was ever-changing, and nothing would remain the same. Yihao left Sea God Island, and with a single step, arrived on Duluo continent. As a god, Yihao stood above the clouds, unmatched by anyone. Before this, Bibaidong had already ascended to godhood. Now, Yihao could sense that his mother had reached the front lines of the war between Star Luo Empire and Spirit Empire. Star Luo Empire and Spirit Empire, two tigers cannot share one mountain. It was time to settle this. This continent needed only one ruler. There was only one piece of meat, but two hungry wolves. At the Star Luo Empire's front lines, armies amassed like clouds. The oppressive atmosphere was thick with killing intent. Outside the Star Luo capital, Spirit Empire's million-strong army stood ready. Star Luo Empire had assembled a similar force. Once the battle began, it would be a bloodbath. Lives would be lost, and mountains would crumble. Soldiers of Star Luo Empire, our empire faces life or death. Spirit Empire seeks to devour us. Let us stand united against this enemy. The Star Luo Emperor rallied his troops from the city walls. Clad in golden armor, he embodied Star Luo's martial spirit. Unlike the former Heaven Dew Empire, Star Luo's strength and discipline had made it the continent's dominant power, had it not been for Spirit Hall's interference. Fight, fight, fight. The soldiers' battle cries shook the heavens. On the Spirit Empire's side, Bibaidong emerged in full armor. She surveyed Star Luo's forces and nodded. 1,000,000 soldiers. The carnage would be unimaginable. Our empire is still young. I cannot bear to see such suffering. Bibaidong sighed. People of Star Luo Empire, I am the Empress of Spirit Empire. Surrender your city to avoid bloodshed and spare your people. Her words were meant to end the conflict without violence. With her current power, she could destroy the city single-handedly. Her death domain alone could annihilate everyone within. But if she truly unleashed her power, the very existence of Star Luo Empire would be at stake. Star Luo Empire will fight to the last man. Star Luo's resolve was unshakable. They would defend their capital to the death. Seeing this, Bibaidong ceased her attempts at negotiation. Clad in her Raksasha god armor, 4 purple scythes extended from her back as she hovered in midair. The aura of a god spread instantly. Star Luo Empire had its title Duluos, but even a fraction of Bibaidong's power made them tremble in fear. TL note, I didn't know they have title Duluo. Before her, all titled Duluos were mere ants. A single breath from her could obliterate them. Bibaidong's power was undeniable. But at that moment, the sky darkened and thick bolts of lightning began striking Star Luo's forces. Chaos ensued as countless soul masters were reduced to ash. Several titled Duluos perished instantly, not even knowing how they died. This devastating attack shattered Star Luo's morale. Many soldiers fled in terror, some even falling from the city walls to their deaths. Hold the line, hold the line. The Star Luo Emperor roared, desperately trying to maintain order. Meanwhile, a figure appeared beside Bibaidong, a stranger. Wielding a death god's scythe and clad in dark red armor, he hovered in midair. The lightning had been his doing. Emperor of Star Luo Empire, I have no wish for slaughter. Surrender now, or you will be the next to die. Your people will suffer, and your name will be cursed for eternity. Yihao's voice echoed over the Star Luo capital. Star Luo Empire will fight to the end. The outcome is not yet decided, came the defiant reply. Then I won't hold back. With a wave of his hand, the city gates exploded open. Every soldier and soul master within found themselves paralyzed, their faces filled with terror. Advance, remember, minimize casualties. Disarm them and capture the Star Luo royal family. At Yihao's command, Spirit Empire's forces surged forward like a tidal wave. Well done, Bibaidong smiled. I considered using my death domain, but that would have turned the city into a graveyard. I don't want to be remembered as a butcher after I ascend. Yi Hao shrugged. The outcome is clear. Star Luo Empire will cease to exist. Bibai Dong sighed in relief. Under her leadership, Spirit Empire had finally unified the continent. Mom, let's go home, Yi Hao said. Yes, home. After giving final instructions, Yi Hao and Bibai Dong took a single step and appeared in Spirit Hall. It's over, Tilda, Yi Hao stretched lazily. From his transmigration to now becoming a god, it felt like a long dream. Almost forgot. Yi Hao slapped his forehead and summoned Zhu Zhu, Jair, and the Zai Hu from the death god's heart. They had shed their soul beast forms and become true humans. What are your plans now? Yi Hao asked. Tilda, Zhu Zhu looked at Jair with a meaningful gaze. Jair. Yi Hao chuckled. Do as you wish. If you have a child, there's a good chance it'll have twin martial souls. I plan to lead my people back to the sea. With the deep-sea demonic whale king dead and the devil soul great white sharks in seclusion with Sea God Island, we can establish our own territory. Even though he was no longer the evil spirit Orca King, he still cared for his people. Oh, Yi Hao retrieved the desiccated remains of the deep-sea demonic whale king from the death god's heart. Having absorbed its power, the whale king was now just a dried husk. Here, take this. Yi Hao divided the remains, giving 1/3 to the Zai Hu. Master, this is. Zai Hu was speechless with gratitude. You understand, Yi Hao smiled. I noticed several of your people are nearing 100,000 years. These remains should help them break through. When we ascend to the divine realm, your people will have the strength to protect themselves. Zai Hu accepted the remains and departed for the sea, borrowing the death god's heart to transport his people. Yi Hao gazed at the sky, catching a glimpse of the divine realm calling to him. Not yet, he waved it off and walked away. 99 years left, no rush. Yi Hao was an optimist. With nearly a century remaining, why hurry? Soon, news arrived from the front lines. Spirit Empire had breached the Star Luo capital. The ancient Star Luo Empire had fallen. The royal family was captured, and the emperor had committed suicide in the flames. A dynasty had ended. When news of Star Luo's defeat reached Daimubai in Spirit Hall's dungeons, he took his own life that very night. The former crown prince died a prisoner in the dark. As for Ma Hongjun, for the sake of Duluo's women, Spirit Hall decided to imprison him for life. Oscar was the luckiest of the three. He married his beloved Ning Rongrong and served Spirit Empire. As a food systems sole master with great talent, his future was bright. Soon after, Sword Duluo, Bone Duluo, and Ning Fengjai passed away. The destruction of the 7 treasure glazed tile clan had haunted their later years. Now they were at peace. Quickly, Spirit Empire conquered Star Luo's remaining cities. Star Luo Empire was officially no more. Spirit Empire became Duluo Continent's sole empire. In its early days, the empire promoted equality. The nobility was abolished. All were equal, without distinction. The era of self-proclaimed elites was over. A new age had dawned. In Spirit Hall, Yi Hao lived comfortably after his ascension. No more cultivation. The empire was in good hands. Bibai Dong had stepped back, and Huliena became the new empress of Spirit Empire. In her leisure, Bibai Dong focused on her granddaughter. The past was behind her. After a lifetime of struggle, it was time to enjoy her golden years. In Spirit Hall's garden, Bibai Dong and Yi Hao sat facing each other. Soon, Zuer has completed her 8th trial. She'll ascend soon too. Bibai Dong mused. Time flew. 4 years had passed since her own ascension. Even her granddaughter had grown into a graceful young lady, awakening her 6-winged angel martial soul with innate full soul power of level 20. Early that morning, Xiao Hong had taken her to hunt for soul rings, a promise fulfilled. Mom still taking disciples. Yi Hao sipped tea, looking at Bibai Dong. Disciples. Zhu Zhu and Jair's child is about to be born. I foresee twin martial souls, Death Spider Emperor and Soul-Devouring Spider Emperor, just like us. Yi Hao smiled. When Zhu Zhu and Jair married, many titled Duluo elders in Spirit Hall were heartbroken. Female titled Duluos were rare enough, and Zhao's cold demeanor as a former soul beast had intrigued some who wanted to experience Tang Hao's joy. "Why don't you take the disciple?" Bibaidong retorted. "Experience matters. You know I'm not the teaching type. You're the expert." Bibaidong. In the former Heavendew City, now part of Spirit Empire, Shrek Academy had been demolished. 2 years prior, Liu Erlong had passed away, buried alongside Flender. An era had truly ended. The old Shrek Academy was gone, replaced by the new Spirit Empire Academy. Equality was the rule. Anyone with soul power could join. With talent and hard work, one could even become an empire elder. In the capital's central square stood 2 statues. One of Yu Xiaogeng, the other of Tang San. The kneeling statues were covered in grime and rotten vegetables, looking utterly wretched. The master and disciple were universally reviled, their infamy eternal. Even 10,000 years later, their statues would remain, their names cursed for generations. Another year passed. On this day, Zhu Zhu and Zhao's child was born. A new twin martial soul user had appeared. Bibaidong personally took the disciple. As for Yi Hao, he could barely manage himself, let alone take on students. On this day, a long-dormant disturbance arose in Spirit Hall. Yi Hao appeared in the Elder Hall, where Cayenne Rengsu was undergoing her angel trials. But Yi Hao was stunned. There were 2 Cayenne Rengsus, one radiant, one dark. Identical in appearance, but with different hair colors. Gold and gray. Understanding dawned on Yi Hao as he met their gazes, and his wife's accusing stare. So he stepped forward. Embracing both, he claimed them as his own. "What do you think you're doing?" Cayenne Rengsu demanded. "You're one and the same, she's your dark side. Both of you are my wives." "Get lost," Cayenne Rengsu roared. Chapter 279. Cayenne Rengsu's Ascension, the finale Ascension. Time seemed to freeze as Yi Hao held both the light and dark versions of Cayenne Rengsu in his arms. Both were his wives, creating an awkward situation. The atmosphere turned strangely tense. Meeting the original Cayenne Rengsu's furious glare, Yi Hao scratched his head awkwardly. Naturally proud, she would never share her husband, even with another version of herself. "Either she goes or I do," Cayenne Rengsu declared resolutely. No woman would tolerate sharing her man, especially not with herself. Seeing her exact double sent shivers down Cayenne Rengsu's spine. Yi Hao hesitated briefly before making a swift decision. "You two sort it out, I'm leaving." Yi Hao chose the better part of valor, fleeing the imminent conflict between the 2 women. This was part of Cayenne Rengsu's angel trials. The dark version represented her inner shadows, now manifested physically. Essentially, they were the same person. Yi Hao knew his wife well. She would never share him, least of all with herself. The thought alone was bizarre. Good thing I escaped quickly. Never get between 2 warring women. With that, Yi Hao vanished. Since Spirit Empire's unification of DOLOU continent, peace had flourished. Reconstruction was underway across all territories. Occasional rebellions by former regime loyalists surfaced, but all were swiftly quelled. Most turned out to be idle troublemakers looking for excitement in peacetime. Eventually, these malcontents were exiled to Slaughter City to cure their boredom. Time passed until one day, a brilliant golden pillar erupted from the Elder Hall, painting the heavens gold. Observing from Spirit Hall, Yi Hao immediately recognized his wife's impending ascension. After all this time, it was finally happening. The angel trials had reached their conclusion. Grand Worship Cayenne DOLU's sacrifice was imminent, and Yi Hao had a role to play. He vanished, reappearing instantly in the Elder Hall. The sacrificial ritual was already underway. Cayenne DOLU had transformed into a golden statue, wreathed in holy flames. Nearby, Cayenne Rengsu's 6 angel wings trembled. Despite knowing her grandfather would be resurrected, witnessing his sacrifice stirred profound grief. This was the man who had raised her since childhood, her only remaining blood relative. "Grandfather," her anguished cry echoed through the hall. Yet she quickly composed herself. This sacrifice was for her future, and her grandfather would return. Her duty now was to honor his sacrifice by completing her ascension. As Cayenne Rengsu underwent her trials, golden light began reforming in the hall. Yihao acted swiftly, manipulating Kyan Dailiu's soul and resurrecting him seamlessly. "You've worked hard, old friend." Yihao smiled at the revived elder. "Thank you." Kyan Dailiu returned the smile, his eyes moist as he watched his granddaughter's transformation. Generations of Elder Hall masters had awaited this moment, the return of the angel god. Time flowed steadily, as celestial phenomena continued above the Elder Hall. Kyan Rengsu emerged clad in angelic armor, wielding the angelic sacred sword with 6 golden wings spread majestically. She had broken through level 99, achieving divinity. Witnessing this, Kyan Dailiu wept openly, his lifelong dream fulfilled at last. "Grandfather," Kyan Rengsu cried joyful tears, her earlier sorrow forgot. His safe return mattered more than godhood. With Kyan Rengsu's ascension, Spirit Empire reached its zenith, boasting 4 gods, counting Yihao's dual divinity. After millennia without ascended beings, 3 gods had emerged simultaneously, cementing Spirit Empire's supremacy. That evening, a grand celebration honored Kyan Rengsu's achievement. As night fell, Yihao retired to his chambers, stretching lazily as he gazed at the familiar ceiling. "What's wrong? You seem troubled." Clad in a sheer golden nightgown, Kyan Rengsu sensed his melancholy. "Nothing really," Yihao sighed, "just nostalgic." "On such a happy day," she frowned. "At 6 I became a soul master. When my death spider emperor and soul-devouring spider emperor awakened, my fate was sealed. At 12 I enrolled at Heaven Dew Royal Academy where we met. 14 won the Continental Advanced Soul Master Elite Tournament, then our engagement. 15 became the youngest ever Slaughter City champion. 16 began divine trials, finally achieved dual godhood." Yihao reflected on his journey, from arrival to the pinnacle of power, now without equal in this world. Bored, Kyan Rengsu arched an eyebrow. "Yes, being invincible is lonely." With Tang San gone and the continent unified, no challenges remained, leaving an odd emptiness. "Stop showing off." She rolled her eyes before nestling beside him. Yihao smiled, pulling her slender waist close. "Darling, about that dark version of you." Kyan Rengsu's fingers found his soft spots. "What evil thoughts now? Am I not enough?" "Nothing like that, just double the pleasure." "Dream on." She crossed her arms indignantly. "Misunderstanding, pure misunderstanding." Yihao backpedaled furiously. "You've no idea the nights I've endured alone during your trials." Years of abstinence had taken their toll. While technically married, Kyan Rengsu's angel trials had required her complete seclusion in the Elder Hall, leaving Yihao to his own devices. Though brief dalliances with Tang Yuehe, Zhu Zhuqing, and Zhu Jian had occurred, Yihao eventually released them to live their own lives. In the end, his heart belonged solely to one, the woman now in his arms. Sharing a knowing look, they kissed passionately. Time flows relentlessly. After ascending, Yihao lived leisurely for decades. He and Kyan Rengsu traveled extensively, marveling at the northern lights, exploring every corner of the continent they'd fought so hard to unify. They conversed with the Snow Empress and Ice Empress in the far north, soared through skies to behold breathtaking vistas. Too soon, 99 years passed, the eve of their divine ascension. Though over a century old, Yihao's face remained unchanged, eternally youthful. Standing alone on the Spirit Hall colonnade, he gazed wistfully at the city lights below. Tomorrow would take them to the divine realm, their final day in this world. Old friends disappear like leaves in the wind. He recalled an ancient saying, the cyclical nature of life and succession. Former acquaintances had passed decades prior. Even the newest Spirit Hall elders were unfamiliar faces, brilliant young talents rising through the ranks, reminding him of his own youth. A chilly breeze prompted his return indoors. Still packing, Yihao smiled at his industrious wife. "Yes, after nearly a century as gods, leaving is harder than expected. This is home, where I grew up. Even golden crocodile Duluo passed years ago. The pain of parting, it never eases." Tears glistened as she surveyed their chambers, so many memories. The night felt endless, filled with melancholy and unspoken regrets. At dawn, the time had come. In Spirit Hall's main chamber, Yihao, Kyan Rengsu and Bibaidong stood ready for departure, accompanied by their chosen. Kyan Rengsu brought her grandfather and daughter. Bibaidong brought Hu Liena and Zhu Zhu's son, her disciple now a 99th level limit Duoluo. Yihao honored his century-old promise to Zhu Zhu, Zhair, and the Zaihu. Normally, gods could only bring one relative to the divine realm. But as the death god and Asura god's successor, who would dare enforce such rules? Zio Hong grinned impatiently. Everyone ready? Let's go. Eager, aren't you? Yihao chuckled. One last look. After this, we can never return. A century of memories weighed heavily as they absorbed their home's final sights. It's time, Bibaidong finally said. Yes, let's go, Kyan Rengsu agreed reluctantly. With a final wave, they vanished. As they departed, thousands of miles away, the long-lost sea god island resurfaced after a century's absence. Two graves stood side by side, Tang Chen and Bo Saixi, reunited at last in death. Meanwhile, in a realm of golden mist and drifting clouds, figures in classical robes approached the newcomers. Greetings, Lord Asura God, their leader bowed respectfully. Divine escorts, Yihao deduced. Indeed, we are the divine realm's attendants, sent to welcome Lord Asura God, Lady Rakshasa God, and Lady Angel God to your eternal home. The divine realm, a new beginning and the start of fresh legends. At the end,